you don't exist. Take a perk and a talk of that shit. Money swallowed like sis. Did it perfect in the kid. Got a billion who take on my head. Look at better put on the road I just spent. I know we got $1 million. The devil that shit ain't not cheaper again.
Hello and welcome back, fellow anime lovers, to MangaMuse. I am delighted to have you join us once again in the world of fanfiction and fantasy. This is the second part of What If Deku and Hero Academia joins Power Rangers. Smash the like, share and subscribe button for more. Also press the bell icon so that you never miss such great parts. Thanks for the introduction. Now let's dive into the world. Ranger training. Amamiya resident evening. Ren, Midoriya, and Yui were in Ren's living room, sitting on the couches, and talking about today's events with the sludge villain. Tommy wanted to talk with both Midoriya and Yui, but Ren was a little worried about how they were going to react to seeing him. Ren just took a deep breath and spoke. So I know you both have questions and I will answer them. Yes, please. Where did you get that costume? How were you able to defeat the villain without a quirk? Do you have more costumes or just that one? How did you fall to the ground so slowly? How did you? Midoriya started firing question after question towards Ren while holding a notebook and pencil in his hands. Ren was unable to tell what Midoriya was saying at this point because he was talking a mile a minute. What is up with this kid? Tommy weirdly asked, unable to keep up with what Midoriya was saying. Yui just watched the whole thing with a strange expression on her face. Ren at this point just had enough. Midoriya. He shouted, stopping the green-haired boy from speaking any further. I can't answer any of your questions if you just keep rapidly firing them at me. Right? Sorry about that, Ren, Midoriya said, rubbing his head in embarrassment. Anyway, before we go any farther, there is someone that wants to speak to the both of you, Ren said to them. Midoriya and Yui just had a confused look on their faces. Who wants to speak to them and about what? Who? Yui asked the million-dollar question. Ren just held up his morpher and said, Alright Tommy, come on out. Then Tommy appeared in the living room, surprising both Midoriya and Yui as they jumped back. Hello, izukumidoriya and Yui Kodai. I am Tommy Oliver, he greeted. Hi, Midoriya nervously said, looking at the hologram. Ren, what's going on? Yui looked over at her classmate. This is Tommy Oliver, or to be more accurate, this is an AI program that the original Tommy created. Ren said to her. He's the reason I was able to morph into a Power Ranger. What's a Power Ranger? Midoriya curiously asked, as he never heard of a hero called Power Ranger. I'll be happy to tell you. Now, as I said to Ren, everything I'm about to say and show to you is the truth, and please hold off on any questions you may have until I'm finished. Tommy said to the two. Both Midoriya and Yui nodded in agreement, while Midoriya had his notebook ready to list down everything Tommy was going to show them. Just like what he did to Ren, Tommy showed Midoriya and Yui the history of the Power Rangers. And like Ren, both Midoriya and Yui were shocked by what they were seeing. Midoriya was mumbling like a madman while writing down everything he saw about the Power Rangers, their costumes, weapons, Zords, etc. It was exciting for him to learn about new heroes and their history. Yui, on the other hand, was more calmer than Midoriya but still had a slightly shocked look on her face. She was surprised that there were heroes like this and the things they fought. It surprised them to learn that the Power Rangers were heroes from a different universe that fought against all types of evil. But they were even more surprised that all the Power Rangers were quirkless before becoming Rangers. And after seeing what Ren did, made them question every single thing they knew about quirkless people being heroes. It made Midoriya wonder if All Might may have been wrong about people with no powers not being able to be heroes. After finishing the story of the Power Rangers, Tommy turned his attention back to Midoriya and Yui. Izukumidoriya and Yui Kodai, the Master Morpher, have selected both of you to become Power Rangers, he said, making both of their eyes widen. You want us to be Power Rangers? Midoriya asked in disbelief. Wait. I don't think I'm fit to be a ranger. I'm just a quirkless boy, he stated. Ren just raised an eyebrow to that. What does being quirkless have to do with this? He asked. What? Midoriya said in confusion. Didn't you listen to Tommy's story? Mostly every Power Ranger was quirkless before they became Rangers. I'm quirkless and I chose to be a Ranger. Despite not having any powers of my own, I'm still going to be a hero. No, not a hero but a Power Ranger, Ren said to him with a determined look. He's right, Midoriya. Tommy agrees with what Ren said. Being a hero doesn't mean having superpowers or how famous you are. It means having the heart of one. Midoriya looked at him with a surprised expression. You can become a hero if you put your heart to it. Anyone who says that quirkless people can't be heroes is wrong. Midoriya was starting to tear up with the same feeling he had with Ren. A true hero saves people and protects the world from threats. You don't need superpowers to tell you who you are meant to be. Tommy said. Midoriya, you want to be a hero, right? Holo Tommy asked the quirkless boy. Of course, more than anything. Being a hero has always been my dream. Midoriya cried out. Then take my offer, young man, and you'll become a hero and a Power Ranger. Midoriya looked at Holo Tommy, hesitating to give an answer. As our theme song says, go Power Rangers. Midoriya thought about everything Holo Tommy and Ren said to them. Since he doesn't have a quirk of his own, being a Power Ranger was the closest thing he could get to being a hero. Okay, I'll do it. I'll become a Power Ranger, Midoriya yelled. Holo Tommy just smiled at the boy's determination and shifted his attention to Yui, who stayed silent during the whole conversation. What about you, Kodai? Do you want to be a ranger? The AI asked the quiet girl. Yui didn't know what to say. After listening to the story of the Power Rangers and their exploit, she was amazed by them. Being one will definitely help her become a pro hero someday. But she needed to know something first before making her decision. Can I ask you something first? The quiet girl asked the hologram. Holo Tommy nodded to her. Why choose me? Why choose any of us? Yui asked him. Midoriya and Ren were also curious about why they were chosen to be rangers too. Holo Tommy figured he owed them an answer and told them. Let me tell you about the project grid, he said as Ren, Midoriya, and Yui paid attention. Before Tommy sent his morpher away, he created a program in the Master Morpher called Project Grid, which is basically a recruitment of worthy people to become members of the Power Rangers. The problem is that in order for the Morpher to choose a new member, they have to earn it. So how did we earn the right to become Power Rangers? Ren asked him. First, Kodai. Holo Tommy pointed at her. You showed compassion to Ren that no one else did. You were the only person to believe in him, and that gave him hope, which gave him the resolve he needed to become a ranger. Holo Tommy explained to her. Yui was surprised by what he said and looked at Ren. And the reason you became a Power Ranger? She asked. Yeah, if you hadn't told me that I could be a hero, I might have rejected Tommy's offer, Ren said to her with a smile. Yui didn't know what to say at that moment. She was the one who pushed Ren into being a ranger, and the thought of that made her heart pound faster. Holo Tommy then pointed at Midoriya. Midoriya, you showed to have the heart of a hero when you jumped into a dangerous situation to save a person's life when no one else did. Midoriya was surprised to hear that. Even though everyone said what he did was reckless, he still didn't regret his choice. And lastly, Ren. He pointed to Ren. Despite not wanting to be a hero, you still have a strong desire to help others. Holo Tommy said to him. Ren knew what he meant. He just couldn't stand by and watch someone in trouble, just like the heroes from his games. Tommy Oliver wanted to find people who carry heroic spirits and a strong desire to help others. All of you have shown qualities of what it takes to be a Power Ranger, which is why the Master Morpher has chosen you all to wield the power of previous Power Rangers. Holo Tommy finished the purpose of Project Grid. Yui just thought about what Holo Tommy said to her. If she hadn't said anything to Ren at lunch, he never would have become a ranger and used his powers to stop the sludge villain. She is the reason he wants to be a hero, and if she becomes a Power Ranger too, she can fight alongside him. Okay Tommy, I'm in too, Yui said, making her choice. Tommy smiled at the two when they made their choice. Alright then, Midoriya and Kodai, hold out your hands to reverse your morphers, he told them. Midoriya and Yui did as he said and held out their hands. Ren, point the morpher towards them. Ren pointed the Master Morpher at the both of them. Then the Master Morpher started to glow gold, as two balls of light came out of it. One was green and the other was red. The green light headed straight to Midoriya's hand and the red light went to Yui's hands. As the light dies down, it reveals to the morphers that both Midoriya and Yui have reversed. The morpher in Midoriya's hand was the Mystic Morpher cell phone, and in Yui's hand was the Overdrive Tracker. The both of them looked in their hands to see their new morphers. These are our morphers. Yui looked in confusion. They look like cell phones, Midoriya said, looking at his morpher. It felt like he was holding a toy in his hand. Yes, they are, Holo Tommy said, looking at Midoriya. Midoriya, the morpher you reversed was the Mystic Morpher cell phone, which was used by the Mystic Force Rangers. They were a team of rangers that specialized in using magic. Wait, if I have one of their morphers, does that mean I can use magic? Midoriya asked the AI. Yes, Holo Tommy said with a nod. Midoriya looked at his new morpher with a twinkle in his eyes. He finally has power and can become the hero he always wanted to be. Holo Tommy then turns to Yui. Kodai, the morpher you reversed was the Overdrive Tracker. That morpher belongs to the Operation Overdrive Rangers. They were adventurers chosen to search for several magical jewels that were sealed away long ago to prevent them from falling into the wrong hands. Yui looks at her morpher. So this will make me into a ranger, huh? She said to herself. Now it's time for the DNA registration. Holo Tommy said to them as their morphers started to glow again. Then the minds of Midoriya and Yui were filled with the memories of the previous rangers who wielded these morpher, as new powers were flowing through them. Whoa, did you see and feel that too? Midoriya asks Yui. Yui said with a nod. Holotommy also told them about the morphers who belonged to those rangers and what powers they had. That surprised both Midoriya and Yui. Midoriya, test out your new powers by lifting this coach with one hand. Holotommy pointed at Ren's coach. You want me to do what? Midoriya said in confusion. Lifting the couch with one hand. He repeated to him. Okay. Midoriya nervous said as he walked over to the coach, and to his surprise, Midoriya held up easily with one of his hands. How did I? He said in surprise. The morpher slightly enhanced all your physical abilities, so you are a little bit stronger than the average person. Holotommy example to Midoriya. That makes sense, Ren said as he felt the same thing back when he got his morpher. So I have a quirk now, Midoriya shouted out. No, you're still quirkless, it's just that your morpher grading you those abilities. Holotommy corrected him. Oh, I see, Midoriya said, putting down the coach. Yui went into Ren's kitchen to test her new abilities as well as to lift his frig, and lifted it with one hand. Not only did it surprise her, but she didn't look like she's struggling with the weight at all. She then put it back down and headed back to the living room. Strange, I can feel more than just one power in me, Yui pointed out before sitting down again. That's because you have access to 2 other powers, Holotommy said to her. This made the 3 of them look at him with a curious look. What do you mean by that, Tommy? Ren asked. What I'm saying is that you will have access to more than just one ranger form. Ren, you can use all ranger forms since you have the master morpher, but new rangers like Midoriya and Kodai will be able to use 3. Holotommy example to them. So we can use 2 more ranger forms. That's amazing, Midoriya said in excitement, thinking of the possibilities. Even Yui was wondering what else she could do with her new ranger powers. All your powers and abilities will come directly from the master morpher, which is connected to the morphin grid, he said to them. What the morphin grid? Yui asked as it sounded important. It is the source where all Power Rangers get their powers from. Without it, morphing into a Power Ranger isn't possible. Holotommy example to them. I see, so that where our powers come from, Midoriya said, writing down the new piece of information. Also, there is one more thing I need to tell you 3, is that you should never abuse this power. Holotommy said with a serious expression. Power Rangers exist for one reason, and that is to protect the lives of the innocent and stop all evil in the universe whenever it shows itself. He continues, no matter where you are, the Master Morpher will always be watching you, and if it sees you mistreating your powers for selfish purposes or using them to hurt others, it will immediately take your powers away, so you best use them wisely now. He warned all of them. The 3 new Power Rangers looked at Holotommy and understood what he was saying. Being a Power Ranger was no different than being a pro hero, and abusing this power is something a villain would do. We promise, Tommy, that we will only use these powers to help others, Ren said to his mentor. Yes, all also live up to the legacy of the Power Rangers, Midoriya said with determination in his voice. I promise as well, Yui said with a nod. Holotommy just smiles at his new students and can see that he made the right choice in making them into Power Rangers. Now your first order of business is to create a team name, Holotommy said. You want us to make a team name? Yui raised an eyebrow. Why don't we just use one of the other Rangers' team names? Midoriya asked. Because you're a new team of Power Rangers. Holotommy answer. He's got a point there. We may have the abilities of previous Rangers, but we aren't them. We have to become our own Power Rangers, Ren said, seeing Tommy's point. Well, when you put it like that, does anyone have any ideas? Midoriya asks, drawing a blank. Yui shook her head, not being unable to think of a name. Ren was deep in thought, coming up with names. If they were going to make a name, it has to be something related to what they are. Then it came to him like a flash of inspiration. I got it, he said, getting their attention. How about we call ourselves the Power Rangers Hero Force? He announced. Power Rangers Hero Force? Midoriya repeated what he said. Yeah, we're going to be heroes someday, and most of the Ranger teams had Force in their names. I can't think of any other name besides that, Ren said to them. I think it's the perfect name, Ren. It shows how serious we are about being heroes. Midoriya agreed with a smile. I like it too, Yui said with a little smile. Hero Force Rangers does have a nice ring to it, Holotommy said, liking the team name. Okay, if everyone is in agreement, then from this moment on, we are the Power Rangers Hero Force. Ren announced the official team name as he stood up and put his hand forward. Rangers forever, heroes all together, he said with passion. Midoriya and Yui stood up with a smile as they placed their hands on top of Ren. Rangers forever, heroes all together. The 3 of them shouted out loud together, forming their new team. Dragaba Beach Park morning. The next day, Holo Tommy asked Ren, Midoriya, and Yui to come to Dragaba Beach Park to start their training for the UA entrance exam. Since today wasn't a school day, it was perfect for them to start early. Okay, it looks like you are all here, Holo Tommy said to his students. Ren, Midoriya, and Yui were on the beach full of nothing but garbage, dressed in their workout clothes. Tommy, why did you ask us to come out here early in the morning to this beach? Midoriya asked, holding up his hand. It's so you can start your training, Holo Tommy said. Training, Midoriya nervously said. That's right, you said the UA entrance exam is 10 months away, so the sooner we start the better. You all may have gotten your morphers yesterday, but you need to strengthen your bodies, minds, and spirits, Holo Tommy said to them. What do you mean? Yui asked him. I'm talking about the backlash when you demorph. Your bodies don't have the stamina and strength to maintain your ranger form for a long period of time. Holo Tommy example to them. Now that I think about it, after I demorphed from my fight against the sludge villain, I did feel pretty tired, Ren said to all of them. Which is why you're here, Holo Tommy said, pointing around the beach. The first part of your training is to clean this entire beach. This made all of their eyes widen in surprise. Ren's eyes widened as he stared in awe at the hologram man before he spun around and took a look at all the trash. All this, but there's so much. That's impossible, he thought. Yui was shocked as well, with a little horror on her face. You want us to clean the whole beach? Midoriya shouted in shock. But why? So the three of you can build up your muscles. Otherwise, you'll become a liability in battle, Holo Tommy said. Oh, I get now, us dragging around this garbage with developing strength and stamina, Ren said, hitting the palm of his hand. Holo Tommy raised a thumbs up. Correct, but that's not all. Last night, I did a little online research yesterday. Turns out this part of the beach used to be beautiful, but it's been a total mess for the last few years, he finished. That's right, because of the ocean currents, anything that's dropped in the water ends up here. People take advantage of that when they're illegally dumping their trash. Now all the locals avoid this place, Midoriya explained out loud. And that's why I need you to clean it up in the next few months before the entrance exam, Holo Tommy said to them, but still had more to say. From what I saw in this world, heroes these days are all about showing off and capturing flashy villains. As important as fighting villains are, heroes are also supposed to help the community, even if it kinda boring, he said, walking over to the broken refrigerator and staring at it. The first step of your training is to restore this entire beach back to its former glory. Holo Tommy looked up, connecting eyes with his students. That is the first step on your path towards becoming Power Rangers. I think I'm starting to understand, Yui quietly said out loud. This training not only helps us but also helps the environment. No pain, no game, I guess, Ren said, stretching his arms. Come on guys, let's do this. You're right, Ren. If we work together, we can get done with this in no time, Midoriya said in the conference. Yui said with a nod. Then all three of them went in different directions to start cleaning up the beach. By the way, only use your natural strength to move the garbage, Holo Tommy said. That stopped the three and they looked at him with wide eyes. Why? Ren was the first to ask. Because the purpose of this training is to strengthen your natural strength and increase your stamina. So using your enhanced strength from your morphers will defeat the purpose, Holo Tommy explained to them. The three new Power Rangers didn't like the idea but couldn't argue with that logic. They knew it wasn't going to be easy, but they weren't going to quit. They were determined to become Power Rangers, even if it killed them. Okay Tommy, Ren said before turning to Midoriya and Yui. Nothing has changed, we'll just have to work twice as hard, right? Midoriya said with a bright smile. Yui said with a like smile too. And with that, their hellish training begins. Dragaba Beach Park afternoon. 2 months later. For the next few months, Ren, Yui, and Midoriya begin their hellish training for the UA entrance exam while maintaining their daily lives. The three of them were dragging around some heavy objects without the use of their superhuman strength to increase their muscles. Tommy also forbids Yui from using her quirk to shrink the garbage down to size. Both Midoriya and Ren were carrying lightweight objects and running to a broken pickup truck to increase the muscles in their legs. Yui was carrying a broken old TV on her back to strengthen their upper body. No matter how much trash we move around, it barely looks like we're doing anything, Midoriya said, falling to the ground from exhaustion. There's a lot more garbage here than we realize, Ren said, sitting down next to Midoriya. Yui put down the broken TV and sat on the ground too. Tired, she said, wiping the sweat from her forehead. You are all doing an excellent job. Holo Tommy appeared, getting their attention. You managed to clean about 32% of the beach and still making good progress, Holo Tommy said, using his scanner to see how much trash they removed from the beach. Only 32%. We're not even halfway done, Midoriya shouted loudly. Makes sense, since school and our daily lives keep us busy to clean the beach 24/7. Not only that, but we also need to take resting periods so we don't overwork ourselves, Ren said, seeing Holotommy plan. Plus, we never would have made this much progress if we hadn't worked together. Yui added on. You're right, Yui. There was another reason why you all cleaned up the beach, so you could improve your teamwork. Rangers are at their strength when they work together as one, Holotommy explained to them. And us cleaning up the beach will increase our trust in one another. Midoriya sees where Tommy is going with this. After seeing the Power Rangers in action, Midoriya learned that there was always a team of 3 or 5 members at the beginning before new Rangers joined the team. Most of them manage to beat villains on their own, but they truly shine when they fighting together as a team. Right? Holotommy said with a nod and checked the time. I think this might be a perfect time for a break. Good, cause I'm starving, Ren said as his stomach was growing. Yeah, Yui quietly said with a nod. Food does sound nice right now, Midoriya weakly said. Then I'll go to the convention store and buy us something, Ren said, getting up and patting himself off. Are you sure, Ren? You look pretty tired, Midoriya said in concern. I'll be fine, so what do you guys want? Ren asked his friends. I don't mind having a bento chicken box and some tea to drink, Midoriya said. I'll take a teriyaki sandwich and juice, Yui quietly said, but was still loud enough to hear. Right, I'll be back, Ren said, picking up the master morpher. Use this time to rest, and once you're done eating, well, continue your training, Holotommy said before disappearing. Midoriya and Yui nodded as they saw Ren leaving the beach. There he goes, Midoriya said, watching Ren leave. Yui said. So, Yui, can I ask you something? Midoriya nervously said, still not used to being around Yui because she's a girl. What is it? She asked, looking his way. How did you and Ren becomes friends? From what TT told me, you're the only person at his school TT that talks to him, Midoriya curiously asked. Yui didn't say anything at the moment. She was thinking about the question. It's because he looked lonely, she said. Lonely? He asked. Yeah, it looked like he didn't have any friends. And after he helped me, I decided to hang out around him so didn't feel alone anymore, Yui said to the green-haired boy. Midoriya didn't say anything else because he could relate. He was quirkless too and didn't have any friends because of it. Even his old childhood friend turned into his greatest bully because of his quirklessness. But the difference between him and Ren is that Ren had a friend looking out for him, but he had no one. But now he has friends and powers thanks to Holotommy. I wonder what would have happened if I hadn't met Ren, Yui, and Tommy, Midoriya thought to himself. Yusutafu's streets afternoon. Ren was walking down the street, heading to the convention store to buy lunch for him, Yui, and Midoriya. What should I eat? Maybe I should go for a rice ball or some grilled salmon. Ren thinking of different types of food to eat. Excuse me. His thoughts were broken when he heard someone call out to him. Ren halted when he heard someone speak to him. Turning his head, he was a girl who appeared to be the same age as him with short black hair blocking the view of her eyes. She was also dressed in female street clothes. Can I help you? Ren asked politely, noticing her shy posture. From the way she spoke, Ren assumed that she was the quiet, shy type. I was wondering, are you that boy on TV who was able to save those 2 boys and stop that villain with the sludge quirk? The shy girl asked. Ren is just blind to the girl's question. It's been over 2 months since his fight with the sludge villain, but people still somehow remember it. It didn't help much that his fight and speech were being recorded too. He didn't find out about it until his dad came home and questioned him about everything that happened. Apparently, his fight with the sludge villain made the news and the internet. Many were angry at him for how he spoke to the heroes, but there were also a lot of people who agreed with what he said about how a hero should be acted. A quirkless boy tries to save his classmate while pro-heroes stay behind watching, and another quirkless boy jumps in to stop a dangerous villain with a strange device that lets him change into a colorful hero costume. It was a mass discussion that stayed in the air for over a week on what being an actual hero really meant. Ren had no chance but to tell his dad about him being chosen to be a Power Ranger, and that he was planning on taking the UA entrance exam to become a hero. Kenji was worried at first but respected his son's decision and decided to let him follow the path he thought was right for his future. His daily life at school was also different too. He told his teachers that he was planning on taking the UA entrance exam and becoming the first quirkless hero, which surprised everyone at his school. When the students walk by him, some give him weird stares and some roll their eyes, still under the belief that a quirkless person can't be heroes. However, there were a few students who looked at him with inspiration in their eyes and mentally cheered the boy on for his goals. Apparently, news of Ren's actions against the sludge villain didn't go unnoticed by the students and teachers, and it sparked a few conversations between the students related to the incident. Ren would sometimes hear some of the students whisper about what he did back then. He heard some say how suicidal he was, some say that he was rather brave, and some say that he was super cool and heroic in his Lightspeed Ranger outfit. Other times, he would hear occasional giggles from a few girls, but Ren just ignored those murmurs and rumors about him. While he was flattened by those who call him brave, he didn't let it go to his head. He only had one thing on his mind, and that was to get into UA, to become a hero. "Yeah, that's me," Ren said to me with a nod. Although I really wasn't expecting my actions to make it on the news. I just did what I thought was right to do. Nothing more, nothing less. From behind her bangs, the girl's cheeks turned light red as she fidgeted with her fingers. "Well, you see, I'm quirkless myself." Ren gains a slightly surprised expression at the reveal. "And I saw what you did on the news, and I just wanted to say, I'm cheering you on, mister." She shouted out the last part. Ren was taken aback by the girl's words. "You're quirkless?" he asked. "Yes," the girl answers. "Everyone is always saying that quirkless people can't accomplish anything heroic. But if you ask me, you prove them wrong. That's why I hope you continue doing what you're doing and become a hero. We need more people like you," she said to him in courage. Ren was blown away by this girl's support. When most people heard about him taking the UA exam, they usually scoffed at him and told him to think realistically. But this girl told him that he should keep going and she was quirkless too. Ren just slightly chuckles to himself. "Thanks for your support. I'll be sure to remember your kind words as I continue my path because the first quirkless hero," he said to her with a smile, which made the girl blush at the gesture. Before she could say anything else, another voice were heard. "Hey, I know you. You're that quirkless guy who beat a villain in that awesome red costume," a new voice shouted. Ren and the girl turned their heads behind them and saw a gray-haired boy a year or two younger than them walking by with a smile, recognizing the spiky black hair on the boy when he spotted him. "Yes, that's right," the girl confirms with a smile. "This boy here is going to prove that being quirkless isn't a roadblock to being a hero." "Whoa, that's cool," the boy said in surprise with a happy expression. "Heck, I don't think my quirk can measure up to what he's capable of." "Hey?" Ren raised a brow at the boy. "What about your quirk? What is it?" he asked. The boy just laughs awkwardly while scratching his cheek. "It isn't anything to be considered heroic. All I can do with it is radiate a good amount of steam off my body. That's it." Ren put his hand on his chin while taking in the information the boy told him about his quirk. After thinking about it long enough, he sets his eyes on the boy again. "Have you thought about being a hero despite your quirk?" Ren asked as the boy blinked at the question. He was hesitant for a moment, but he slowly nodded. "What's your name?" He then turned to the girl. "I guess you should tell me your name as well too." "Oh, I'm Haruto Sakai," he said, introducing himself. "And I'm Ayakaza, it's nice to meet you," the shy girl said with a quick bow. "There's no need to be former, we're around the same age. I'm Ren Amamiya, but you both can just call me Ren," Ren said to them. "Anyway, back to your question. I think there's a way you can make your quirk useful." "Huh?" Haruto was shocked by what Ren said. "Do you think so?" "Yeah, from what I read, quirks develop as a person gets older and the more that they're used. So if you start training and experiment with your quirk, you might find different ways to use your powers that you never thought of before," Ren said to him. AI looked at Ren in surprise, seeing him encouraging the Steam quirk user. "But what if that's not enough?" Haruto asked. "Then make up for it with your body," he suggested. "My body," Haruto said in confusion. "Yep, build up your muscles and strengthen your body or learn some kind of martial arts or weapon skills, since you don't have any physical superpowers," Ren said, giving his advice from what he saw the Power Rangers did. "From what I got from your power, you can use your steam to temporarily blind your opponents or hide yourself to launch sneak attacks." Haruto gasps at Ren's advice before looking down at his own hands. "Wow, I never really thought about that." "Me neither," AI said with a surprised look on her face. "Most people think that having a flashy strong quirk is what you need to be a hero, but that is not true. There are plenty of quirked people who fight physically. So if your quirk isn't enough to become heroic, then use your body and brain for what you lack. Quirks are just tools for a person to make saving lives or beating villains easier. Any power can be useful in any situation if a person knows how to use it properly. That's a fact that most seem to forget," Ren wisely said to the two of them. The both of them looked at Ren in awe at what he said. They were amazed that someone their age could think like that with such confidence. "And AI," Ren said, getting her attention. "Don't let what people say get to you. Just because you're quirkless doesn't mean you are worthless. If you want to do something, then do it. Don't let anyone stop you or bring you down," he encouraged the quirkless girl. The girl then had a dark blush on her face. "Right, I will, Ren," AI happily said. "That goes for you, Haruto," Ren said too. "Yeah," Haruto said with a smile. Now if you both excuse me, I've got a hero course to prepare for, Ren said, walking away before waving them off. See ya. AI and Haruto watched as Ren walked off. Good luck, Ren, Haruto shouted to Ren from the distance. AI just giggled at Haruto and set her eyes back on Ren. She smiles at the ranger, hoping that he will be able to become a hero despite his lack of a quirk. Meanwhile, Tommy was listening to the whole conversation in secret. I know the Master Morpher made the right choice making this kid into a Power Ranger. He thought of being incredibly proud of his students for giving those two hope. Convention store afternoon. After buying their lunches, Ren exits the convention store with a bag full of food and his earbuds in, listening to some music while he walks back to the beach. Ren was listening to some Power Rangers music that Tommy uploaded on his phone. I have to admit, the Power Rangers have some pretty interesting songs, Ren said to himself, listening to the Mighty Morphin full opening version. Ren was so into the song that he didn't notice a purple-haired girl walking out of a music store a few blocks away from the convention store and accidentally bumped into her. Her name was Jiru. She is a petite, fair-skinned girl with a slender build. She has triangular, lazy-looking onyx eyes with notably long lower eyelashes and rather small eyebrows. Her hair is short, only around chin length, and is dark purple in color with an asymmetrical fringe, and two reflections shaped like heartbeat monitor waves on either side of her head. Her most prominent features are the flexible, plug-like earphone jacks hanging from each of her earlobes at the end of two thin cords. She was dressed in punk rock street clothes. "Aw," Ren cried out, stepping back a bit. "Whoa," Jiru said, almost losing her footing, and dropped her CD on the ground. "Wow, sorry I didn't notice you there." Ren apologizes to the girl. The girl just bent down to get her CD. "It's fine, I wasn't really paying attention either," she said in a sad tone, almost like she had something on her mind. Ren noticed this and pulled out his earbuds. "Are you alright? You seem depressed," he asked the girl. "I'm fine. I just got a lot on my mind," Jiru said, trying to brush it off. Even more reason to help her, he thought. Ren then looked at her CD and other clothes. He could tell this girl was a fan of music and decided to start up a conversation with her to see what was bothering her. "So you like music, huh?" Ren asked, getting the girl's attention. The girl nods and asks, "Yeah, you like music as well." "Can't say I hate it. I'm more of a gamer." Ren shrugs at her. "But I am listening to music from some old heroes from the past," Ren said, holding up his earbuds. This got the rock girl's attention. "Really? What heroes are they?" "They call themselves the Power Rangers," Ren said to her. "Power Rangers," Jiru said with a raised eyebrow. She never heard of those heroes before. But he did say they were past heroes, so it makes sense that she never heard of them. "You want to listen?" he asked. "Sure," Jiru said, beaming with a little excitement, wanted to hear new music. Then the two of them went to an empty bench and Ren handed her his earbuds. But Jiru just put one of her earphone jacks into his phone. Ren was a bit confused about what she did. Jiru noticed this and explained her quirk, letting her earphone jacks act as headphones to listen to the music. Ren then started the song over for her to listen to. Soon a guitar was to play, then a beat dropped, as Jiru started to bob your head with her eyes closed to the music and guitar playing. "They've got a power and a force that you've never seen before. They've got the ability to morph and to even up the score. No one can ever take them down. The power lies on their CIII'd. Go, go, Power Rangers. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. They know the fate of the world is lying in their hands. They know to only use their weapons for defense. No one will ever take them down. The power lies on their CIII'd. Go, go, Power Rangers. You Mighty Morphin Power Rangers." Then the guitar solo started to play, as Jiru was getting more into the song. "No one can ever take them down. The power lies on their CIII'd. Go, go, Power Rangers. You Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Go, go, Power Rangers." As soon as the song was over, Jiru took out her earphone jack and looked at Ren with a smile. "So what do you think?" Ren asked. "Who made this song, and what is the name of it?" Jiru asked as she still felt rockin' from the song. "Go, go, Power Rangers" by Ronald Wasserman, Ren said with love. He became a fan of the Rangers' music after listening to them. It's not just this, but there are other Power Rangers songs made over the years by their fans. "So do you want me to give you more of their music?" "Hell yeah," Jiru replied with a smile, but soon had a light blush of embarrassment from her outburst. "Sorry, I got a little carried away," she said, looking the other way, twiddling her earphone jack. Ren just slightly laughs at this. "It's fine, I'm happy that you're finally cheerful," he said as Jiru realized that she wasn't depressed anymore. "The name Ren Amamiya, but just call me Ren." Smiling at her, Jiru, the girl said to him, returning the smile. "Don't take this the wrong way, but you don't look that Japanese," Jiru blatantly asked Ren. "You're half right, I'm Japanese American." My mom was Japanese and my dad was American. Ren told her. I see. That kind of cool, Jiru said, giving her opinion. I don't know why, but it feels like I've seen him somewhere before. Hey, so why did you look sad earlier? Ren asked. Jiru was surprised by the question and hesitated to answer. It's because. Ren then waves his hand aggressively. It's fine if you don't want to say, Ren said, feeling like he was overstepping his boundaries. Jiru shakes her head. No, sorry. It's because. I'm having a hard time choosing. Ren listens closely while she sighs and says, I want to be a hero, but I don't want to disappoint my parents either. They taught me everything about music, and to throw all that away for being a hero is selfish. Ren was shocked by their reasoning but continued to listen. Don't get me wrong, I love music, but I also want to be a hero, because they're so cool, and I think saving a person is probably the coolest thing ever. Ren listens to the music-loving girl's reason. She wants to help people but doesn't want to disappoint her parents too. But he might be able to help Jiru with her problem. If that's how you feel, then why not choose both? Ren said to her. Jiru was surprised by what he said. Be both a hero and a musician. Was it really that easy to choose? Choose both. Jiru repeats to herself. Yeah, I mean there's no rule saying a hero can't have a second career in life. The perfect example would be the snake hero, Uobami. She works as both a pro hero and a model. Despite having 2 careers in her life, she still has time to be a hero and a celebrity. Ren said, remembering reading one of Midoriya's notebooks on every pro hero he analyzed. And it's not just her. There are also other heroes like that too, so there's nothing wrong with wanting to choose both, just as long as you don't regret it. But what about my parents? Jiru asked. Ren just gave her a heartwarming smile. Jiru, there are your parents. I'm pretty sure they'll be proud of you no matter what choice you make. Jiru was shocked and surprised by his advice. There was a bit of tears in her eyes after hearing all of that. It was just what she wanted to hear. For so many years, it was a hard choice to choose either of the professions when she could be both, like Ren said. She then wiped her tears from her eyes. Thanks, Ren. It's just what I wanted to hear, she said with a bright smile. You're welcome, Ren said with a little nod. The smile of Ren's reminds her of All Might, who reassures people with a fearless smile. She wonders if he could become the All Might due to his great advice. She feels confident in telling her parents that she wants to be a hero first before becoming a musician after her hero's graduation. Then out of nowhere, the master morpher started to glow bright purple before disappearing. Ren noticed it and just had a surprised look on his face. Jiru's been chosen, he thought. Holo Tommy just smiles, thinking that someone else has been chosen in such a short amount of time. Hey, you okay, man? Jiru said to a confused Ren. It's nothing. I was just thinking about something. Ren then sighs to himself and says, to tell you the truth, Jiru, I don't really like heroes that much, he said, which surprised her a bit. Why? She asked in worry. Because almost every hero you see is not more than glory seekers or money grabbers. That's not how a hero is supposed to act, he said to her in a disappointing tone. Jiru can understand what he means. She was not ignorant of how pro heroes acted and thought those types of people were annoying. But after learning about the Power Rangers and the type of heroes they were, I decided that I was going to be like them and became the first quirkless hero. Ren said to her. You're quirkless? Jiru cried in surprise. Yeah, got a problem with that? He asked, hoping she wasn't one of those people. No. I was just a bit surprised, that's all, Jiru said, waving her hand. It's just that I never met a quirkless person before, she admitted. Well, I'm your first, hoping you don't think little of me because of it, he said. Not at all, man. I got nothing wrong with quirkless people, Jiru said to the boy. Jiru feels sympathetic to the boy. She knew enough about quirk racism and could only assume that not having one was a lot worse. A life without her quirk sounds bad, given how her own school was towards her for her earphone jacks. She could only imagine what it was like for Ren. I see, I'm glad to hear that, Ren said with a smile, seeing she was a nice person. Since I don't have a quirk, I have been training myself for the UA entrance exam. No kidding. Jiru's jaw dropped slightly before she grinned. That's pretty rockin'. I was planning on taking the exam too after I talked to my parents. Well, I hope to see you there, Jiru, Ren said, getting up from the bench and grabbing the bag of food. I need to get going. I have some friends who are waiting for me. Jiru also got up from the bench and asked Ren something. Before you go, can I ask for your number? Jiru said with a slightly blushed face. Ren smiles at the girl and says, sure, pulling out his phone. Then the two exchanged numbers and Ren transferred the Power Rangers music to her phone as he promised. Hey, can I ask you one more question? Jiru asked, getting a nod from the boy. I feel like I've seen you somewhere before. Are you famous or something? Ren knew where this was going and answered her. Do you remember the sludge villain incident? Ren asked. Then Jiru's eyes widened in remembering the whole thing. She remembers watching the fight on the news and was impressed that a quirkless boy defeated a dangerous villain in a spandex costume. Then hearing that speech of his was like a punch to the face about how a hero should act. She was now standing in front of the teen responsible for ending the incident. "Oh my goodness, it's you. You're that guy who stopped that villain," Jiru said in surprise. "Yeah, I am, and as much as I would love to talk to you about it, I really need to go," Ren said, remembering Midoriya and Yui were waiting for him. "Right, I guess I'll catch you later then, Ren," Jiru said to him. "Jiru, call me whenever you want to talk," Ren said as he left for the beach. He never imagined Jiru was chosen to be a Power Ranger, but given her strong desire to be a hero is probably what made Master Morpher choose her. He would have normally asked her to join the Rangers right now, but she already had a lot on her mind and decided that wait until later when she had a clearer mind. Meanwhile, Jiru just looks back at Ren as he walks away in that direction. She was hoping to talk to him more and get to know him, but it looked like he was busy. She didn't know why, but Ren Amamiya introduced her in more ways than one. Amamiya Resident Knight. Ren was lying on his bed, looking on his phone for new upcoming games release dates online. So they make a new Call of Duty. Can't wait for it. Ren sighed, looking forward to the new game. Then he put his phone down, thinking about his talk with Jiru. Still can't believe that Jiru was chosen to be a Power Ranger. Given her strong desire to help others, the Master Morpher must have saw potential in her. Tommy suddenly spoke. "The real question is, will she join us?" Ren asked the AI. "Who knows?" Tommy said in an assured tone. "But you should ask her the next time you talk to her." Then out of nowhere, Ren's phone started to ring. He looked at it and saw a familiar name. "Well, speak of the devil, it's Jiru," Tommy said. "I wonder what she wants," Ren said, answering the call. "Hello, hey, this is Jiru. Is this a good time to talk?" Jiru asked over the phone. "No, I got time," Ren said to her. "Is there a reason you called me so soon?" "Yeah, it's just that as soon as I got home, I talked to my parents about how I wanted to be a hero and..." Jiru hesitated to say the next words. "And what?" he asked. She took a deep breath over the phone and said, "And believe it or not, they were on board with the idea of me being a hero first and a musician second." Ren just busted a smile on his face. "See, I told you," he said. "You're right. Thanks again, Ren. If you hadn't said anything to me, I might have not been able to make this choice," Jiru said, feeling grateful. "I really didn't do much. It was all you. All I did was just give you some advice," Ren said, playing it over. "Even so, I am still grateful for what you said to me," Jiru happily said. Ren was happy that the punk rock girl was about to resolve her issues. Now that she knows what she wants to do, this might be the perfect time to ask her. "Hey, Jiru, there's something I wanted to talk to you about," Ren said, taking her a bit by surprise. "Really? What is it?" Jiru asked. "It's better if I ask you in person. It's something really important," Ren said to her. Something important." She shuddered repeatedly with a blush across her face. "Yeah, so after school tomorrow can you meet me at Dragaba Beach Park?" Ren asked her. "I can do that," she said as her heart was pounding faster. "Great, then I'll see you tomorrow," Ren happily said, throwing the phone. "Bye," Jiru said before hanging. "Now all that's left is for you to tell her your story, Tommy," Ren said to his mentor. "Yes, and hopefully she'll join us," Tommy said, hoping the girl would join them. Dragaba Beach Park afternoon. The next day, on the beach, Ren, Midoriya, and Yui were there seating on the piles of garbage around the beach, waiting for Jiru to arrive. "This girl you meet yesterday, Ren," Midoriya said, getting his attention. "She was chosen to be a Rangers." "Yeah, and that's why we're waiting for her," Ren said with a nod. "So what was her quirk like?" Midoriya asked. "She didn't give me much details, but she has earphone jacks hanging from her ears," he said, remembering what Jiru looked like. "Wow, earphone jacks. I can wait to ask her more about her quirk," Midoriya said in excitement as his inner fan was letting out. "You can ask her later, Midoriya. Remember why we're here," Tommy reminded the fanboy. "Alright, sorry about that," Midoriya said in embarrassment. "The reason they're here is to recruit Jiru to join the Hero Force Rangers. Hopefully, Ren's influence on her will make this easy." Yui then started to hear the sound of footsteps coming their way. "Someone's coming," Yui said, getting their attention. They looked and saw a purple-haired girl dressed in a navy blue sailor uniform. It was Jiru walking up to them with a nervous look on her face with a slight blush. "That her, guys," Ren said, getting up and walked up to her. Midoriya and Yui also followed suit. "Hey Jiru, what's up?" Ren said to her. "Hey again, Ren," Jiru said in a low tone, not trying to make eye contact with him. "Are you okay? Your face is red," Ren asked. "I'm perfectly fine," Jiru almost shuddered. If you say so, Ren said before introducing his team to her. Anyway, those are my friends. Jiru then got over her nervousness and looked up at the other two people there she didn't notice. HHA, my NN name is izukumidoriya. Midoriya nervously said, talking to another girl. Yui Kodai. Yui quietly said to her, hey there, I'm Kyoka Jiru. She awkwardly introduced herself. She then turned her head to Ren. So you wanted to talk to me about something? Not me, but someone else. Ren corrected her. Who? Jiru said with a raised eyebrow. Then suddenly, Holo Tommy appeared right in front of Jiru, scaring the poor girl half to death. HHH. Jiru screamed at the top of lungs, jumping back in surprise. Damn it, Tommy. Did you seriously have to do that? Ren angrily said to the hologram. Sorry, my bad. Holo Tommy awkwardly said, scratching his cheek. Ren. What the hell is going on? And who the hell is this dude? Jiru yelled in fear. Jiru, before I answer any of your questions, I need you to calm down first, Ren said to her. Jiru took a moment to regain herself and looked at Holo Tommy. It still freaked her out looking at him, but she was more composed now. After noticing she has calmed down, Holo Tommy introduced himself to the teenage girl. Forgive for scaring you like that, Jiru. My name is Tommy Oliver and I asked Ren to call you here today to speak to you about a very important matter. Holo Tommy said to Music Lover. The entrance exam. Drag of a beach park afternoon. What? Jiru exclaimed, her eyes practically bulging out of her head. To say Jiru was baffled was an understatement. Just like what Holo Tommy did to Ren and the others, he told Jiru the history of the Power Rangers. After finishing the story, Jiru was stunned by what she just heard and seen. Okay, so let me get this straight. The Power Rangers are heroes from another dimension. Jiru asked in a stunned state. Yes, Holo Tommy nodded to her. And this Tommy Oliver sent a device that can let Ren and the others turn into every ranger from the past. She asked another question. Yes, Holo Tommy nodded again. So, now Ren, Midoriya, and Kodai were chosen to become new Power Rangers. She asked. Yes, Holo Tommy nodded a third time. And now this device has chosen me to be a Power Ranger as well. Jiru started to understand everything. Jiru then looked to Ren for confirmation and he nodded. She looked back to Holo Tommy, then to Ren, Midoriya, and Yui, who had an intense look on their faces. These Power Rangers sound like some pretty epic heroes, being able to fight off city-level and world-ending threats. Not only that, but they were all quirkless people too. This offer that was given to her seemed like a lucky opportunity that she didn't want to pass up. Jiru then sighs to herself. Well, Ren, you, Midoriya, and Kodai sure do have your work cut out for you. Seriously, man, what have you gotten yourself into? She says, looking at him with growing concern before scratching her head and sighing again. But I guess I have no choice but to join you guys. I'll be here to help all of you every step of the way if you'll let me. Jiru said to them. Are you sure, Jiru? Holo Tommy asked the girl. Being a Power Ranger is a huge responsibility, and you don't have to force yourself to join if you don't want to. Yeah, I'm sure. Ren helped me, so I like to return the favor. And besides, being one of those Power Rangers seems pretty cool, Jiru said, playing with one of the earphone jacks. Ren then held out his hand to her and said, Welcome to the Hero Force Rangers, Jiru. With a smile. Happy to be here, Ren, Jiru said, shaking back. It's nice to have you joining the team, Jiru, Midoriya said to her. You too, Greenie, Jiru said with a teasing smile. Midoriya then blushed up a storm from the joke and looked away. Is he okay? She asked Ren. He just gets shy from talking to girls. Ren answered. Yui walked up to her and said, Welcome, thanks, Jiru awkwardly said. She doesn't talk much, Ren said to her. Got it, Jiru understood. Now it's time to reverse your morpher. Hold out your hand, Holo Tommy said to her. Jiru did what she was told, as the master morpher started to glow gold with a purple ball light coming out of it and headed straight to Jiru's hand. When the light died down, the morpher in her hand was Wolf Morpher. This is my morpher, Jiru said, looking at her morpher, liking the wolf design. Holo Tommy nodded to her. That's the Wolf Morpher. It belongs to Robert James, or as he likes to be called, RJ. He is the mentor for Jungle Fury Rangers and later on joins the team as the Wolf Ranger. Holo Tommy examples to her. Wolf Ranger, Jiru said, looking at her morpher again. Then the DNA registration begins, as the memories of the previous ranger who wielded this morpher were transferred to her. Wow, now that was trippy, she said, feeling power surging in her. AWWW. The sound of a wolf howling inside of Jiru made her jump in surprise. What was that? Jiru cried out, looking around in confusion. What was what? Ren asked. I just heard a wolf howling, Jiru said to them. That was your animal spirit, Holo Tommy said to her. My animal spirit? Jiru asked with a raised brow. It's one of the powers of the Jungle Fury Rangers. Midoriya spoke up with an excited look. They have the ability to harness their own animal spirits and turn it into power. What Midoriya said is true. RJ's animal spirit is the spirit of the wolf, which gave him an incredible amount of courage. Tommy explained. Now that you have his morpher, you will able to use the spirit of the wolf's powers as well. Jiru took in everything that they told her and closed her eyes with her hand on her chest. The spirit of the wolf, she softly said to herself as she was standing in her mindscape. She then sees a wolf slowly approaching her. Normally she would be scared by this, but instead she was feeling unbelievably calm. Like nothing could affect her in the slightest. Then the wolf stopped in front of her, staring in her eyes with an intense gaze. Jiru reaches out her hand to the wolf's head to pat it, and the wolf lowers its head in response, accepting the pat. The punk rock girl reopened her eyes, hearing the wolf's spirit howling again. Cool, Jiru said with a grin. We'll resume training tomorrow, so be sure to be here early in the morning. Tommy advises her. Got it, Tommy. I promise I won't let you down, Jiru said to him. Tommy smiles at the girl's determination. 4 rangers in just 2 months. Things are moving much faster than I expected. Dragaba Beach Park afternoon. 5 months later. We're finally done. Midoriya, Ren, and Jiru happily shouted with Yui had a tiny smile on her face. All 4 of them was standing on top of a giant pile of trash, looking at the newfound clean beach that they all worked together to clean up. There wasn't a single piece of trash left on the beach, and it returned by to its former glory. Things gone by much faster thanks to Jiru joining the team and improving her strength too. These past months, Tommy was impressed by the Rangers' development. They cleaned all the beach without leaving a speck of dust. He was amazed that they managed to clean all of the garbage with only 3 months before the entrance exam. You kids are quite something. Well done, Tommy said as the 4 hopped off the giant pile of trash and landed on the beach. We did it, Tommy, Midoriya said, breathing heavily. Yeah, that was a piece of cake, Ren exhausting said. No kidding, Jiru said with her hands on her knees. Victory, Yui said tiredly, giving a victory hand sign. Tommy then shows his students old photos of them and laugh. Look at this. This is the 4 of you 7 months ago, and now look at all of you. Jason would be jealous of the both of you, Ren and Midoriya, when he sees that you both grew muscles and abs so early, he said. Just like Tommy said, the Hero Force Rangers have improved the past 7 months. Ren and Midoriya muscles have improved to the point that they have a slightly developed bodies with a 6-packs, muscles, and abs. Jiru and Yui bodies didn't grow that much from the boys, but they have a little developed muscles. When did take photos of us? Jiru asked. When you all started to train on the bench, he answered. Tommy's right. I feel pretty powerful right now, a shirtless Ren said, flexing his muscles. Yeah, Midoriya said, looking at himself and seeing the results of his hard work. Jiru and Yui were looking at the shirtless boys, but mostly Ren, and had blushes right on their faces. Oh my god, he's so ripped. How can someone get so jacked in a few months? Jiru though looking at Ren's physique and thinking how heat he looks right now. Stop it, Jiru. Don't think like that. She shook her head rapidly to force her blush away. Yui was staring heavily at Ren with a slightly neutral face and lustful. He's so heat, she thought, unable to away at Ren abs. Haha, teenagers. Tommy chuckles at Jiru and Yui reactions. The beach is once again beautiful. All thanks to you kids. If it weren't for you, Ren, Yui, and Jiru, I wouldn't even think of cleaning the mess, Midoriya said. I have to agree with Midoriya. I don't think I could have done this by myself either, Jiru admitted. Ren and Yui both nodded in agreement to what Jiru and Midoriya said. They only managed to pull this off is because they work as a team. Yeah, I get some credit as well. But in the end it was all of your hard work and effort that made this happen. Tommy said to students. You all can now use your abilities to their fullest and morphin into your ranger forms without having to worry about an backlash of feeling exhausted unless you overuse your powers. Yes sir, the 4 rangers said. Good. Since you all finish with cleaning the beach, well, call it a day and resume your training in the next 2 days. Tommy said. Wait, we still have to train, Midoriya asked in confusion. Yes, the entrance exam is still 3 months away, giving you all more time to improve. So you're going to keep on training until a day before the exam. That makes sense. Midoriya feel pretty stupid for asking that question, but couldn't deny Tommy logic. Cleaning the beach was one part of your training to develop your muscles. Now for the next part, you 4 will be doing nothing but hand-to-hand combat training to improve your martial arts and jogging to improve your stamina, Tommy said to them. The 4 of them nodded to him as he disappeared from their sights. Since we're done for today, you guys want to hang out? Ren asked them. Sure, I'm down for that. Jiru shrugged her shoulders. Me too, Midoriya said. Yui nodded in agreement. After agreeing to spend time together, they decided to go see a movie. Amamiya Resident Night. 3 months later. It's been 10 months since Ren got the Master Morpher. He's been training hard these past months with his new friends, teammates. He was in his room, ready for bed. Tomorrow was the UA entrance exam. He's been training his skills and been improving every day for this moment. All that left was to take the exam and getting in UA. Ren took his phone and started texting the other rangers in their private chat room. Ren, hey guys, ready for the exam tomorrow? Midoriya, yeah. Jiru, you know it. Yui, Ren, okay, then let's walk to UA. Together in the morning. Midoriya, we can meet up at the train station. Jiru, sounds like a plan. Ren, see you all tomorrow. Ren, don't forget to begin your morphers. Midoriya, right. Midoriya, good night everyone. Jiru, later. Yui, night. Ren, good night. I suggest you get to sleep now. The exam is tomorrow and the last thing you need is to oversleep. Tommy said to Boy. Right, Ren said, putting his phone on the charger and turned off his lights for bed. Okay, time for bed. He was going to pass this exam at all cost. Tomorrow is the big day for me and other, he thought to himself before falling asleep. Amamiya Resident Morning. Today's the day. It's been months since Ren sent in the application. They accepted it. Now all that left was to take the exam and pass it. I'm walking to UA with everyone today. Don't want to be late, Ren said to himself as he puts on the Master Morpher. He then puts on his school uniform and walk out of his room to the kitchen where his dad was waiting for him. You ready, Ren? Kenji asked him son. Ren just smiled to his dad. Yep, good. Now go show them what an Amamiya can do, Kenji said smiling. What can a Amamiya do anyway? Ren said with a raised eyebrow. A Amamiya never knows when to quit. His father said to him. Never knows when to quit, eh? Ren said to himself. In fact, he liked the sound of that. Anyway, if you pass or fail, I just want you know that I'm proud of you, Ren, Kenji said, placing his hands on both his son's shoulders. Ren smiled to him and said, I'll do my best, Dad. Oh, and Tommy, please look after my son for me, Kenji asked. Your son is in good hands with me, Mrs. Amamiya. Tommy replied to Kenji. I know you will. Now on you go, the both of you. Don't want to late for the exam, Kenji said to his son, handing him a box lunch. Ren put the lunch in his bag and walked out the door. UA High School front entrance morning. The Hero Force Rangers met up at the train station as planned and took a few-minute ride since UA was a good decision away from where they lived. As soon as the train stopped, the four of them made their way down the street. They noticed that there were more students walking beside them. Look at all these people, Ren said, looking at all the students. You think they're trying out for UA? He told her. That's what it looks like, dude, Jiru said to him. There were a lot of students. UA is the #1 best hero course school in the country, so it wouldn't be surprising to see these many people here apply, she said. Makes sense, but I feel bad for the ones who won't make it in. UA is said to have a 7% pass rate and some are lucky enough to end up in the hero course, Midoriya told them with a nervous look on his face. Yeah, it would suck not getting into the school you wanted, Jiru said, understood what he meant. Yui nods in agreement. That's life for you. There's nothing you can do but make sure you all pass, Tommy said to them. The Rangers started to see a giant building in the distance. It was UA High School. The school looked more impressive up close than it did in the pictures. Those really don't capture the sheer size of the place. Seriously, it's huge. And it's impressive to look at, with head busts of old heroes and decorations that it clear that no yen was spared in making the school. You all ready for this? Tommy asked his students. 10 months ago, Ren would have laughed at anyone who asked him that. But now, after getting powers from the Master Morpher and training to hone his skills for months, Ren feels pretty good about his odds. You know it, Ren said, rolling his neck. Why yes, Midoriya shuddered but still had the confidence to back it up. Totally, Jiru said with a cocky grin. Yui shouted. Tommy smiles at his determined students. Then show UA that the Power Rangers hero force is here, he said. Yes, sir, the four of them said in sync. Before they moved, they heard an unpleasant voice. Stupid Deku, the voice said as the four turned to where it is. Ren's eyes slightly widened upon seeing who it was. The same blonde guy he saved from the sludge villain. Kaken, the green-haired boy said in surprise. He narrowed his eyes at the green-haired boy, continuing on his path. Get out of my way now before I set you on fire. Really, there are other places for you to walk and you downright walked straight up to him, just to spite the guy. Ren thought angrily. Ren wasn't the only one. Both Jiru and Yui were disappointed at the blonde-haired boy's behavior. The boy panicked, waving his hands around. Oh hey, good morning. Let's both just do our best out there, okay? Good luck, Midoriya said. The blonde just stopped next to him and gave him his usual glares. You shouldn't be here, Deku. A useless failure like you has no right to take this exam. So why don't you save yourself the embarrassment and leave? Bakugou angrily said to the boy. Ren just had enough of this guy's attitude and said something. Hey jackass, leave him alone, Ren said, getting Bakugou's attention. You have no right to tell him he can't take the exam. Bakugou angrily looked at the boy. And who the hell are you? Where are his friends? Jiru joined in the conversation with her eyes narrowed at the blonde Dutch. Yui nods with a slight glare at the arrogant blonde. Bakugou was about to say something until he took a closer look at Ren. Then he recognized that he was the same guy who saved him from the sludge villain that day. Soon Bakugou was overcome by a rage of anger. I remember you now. You're quirkless fucker from day. Bakugou yelled out loud in anger, still feeling the humiliation that day. So you remember me, eh? Ren said back to him. You going to finally thank me? I didn't need no help from a piece of garbage like you. I had everything until control. Bakugou shouted at Ren. Really? Because that's not what the news said. Jiru said back. Fuck you EARLOBES. Bakugou shouted at Jiru before turning back to Ren. As for you, you quirkless bastard. If we end up in the same area, you better not get in my way or else I'll kill you, he said as little sparks of explosions came out of his hands. I suggest you calm down, Ren said in a neutral tone, not being fazed by his threat. If you start something here you won't be able to take the exam. Bakugou hated being told what to do, especially by a quirkless loser. But he didn't want to mess up his chances to get into UA. So he calmed himself down a bit but still gave Ren an angry stare. Whatever, I don't have time to deal with you extras. Bakugou scoffs before bumping into Midoriya's and Ren's shoulders. I can't wait to see the look on both of your faces when you fail the exam, he said, walking off. As the group watched Bakugou leave, Tommy sighed in disappointment. From what Midoriya told them about this Bakugou, he was a talented student with a power quirk, but is an aggressive and arrogant personality because of his quirk. Why a kid with such great power be a bully? Is his parents that irresponsible? Tommy wondered. The boy reminded him of his original self when he accepted the dragon power coin from Rita. And the teachers aren't even doing anything to change his attitude. This world will let anyone be a hero if they have a powerful quirk. Tommy thought. So that's him, eh? Ren said to Midoriya. The guy that bullied you all your life for being quirkless. Midoriya nodded slowly. Yeah, we used to be close friends, but all that changed when he got his quirk, Midoriya weakly said with his head down. Let me guess, he was born with such an amazing power that people preceded him for it all his life, and he ended up growing an oversized ego, to the point he started bullying people who were weaker than him to make himself feel superior, Ren said, hitting the nail on the head. Midoriya didn't say anything. In the stand, he just quietly nodded to Ren. To think someone like that wanted to be a hero. With that attitude, he wasn't getting very far. Jiru said, thinking how much of an ass Bakugou is. Midoriya, forget him. What he does is none of your concern, Ren said in an uncaring tone. He turned to his teammates. We just need to focus on the exam right now. Ren reminded them why they were here. Yeah, Ren's right, Midoriya. No point getting worked up over the dick bag anyway, Jiru said with a smile. Yui nodded happily in return. Thanks, guy. I'm glad to have friends like you, Midoriya happily said to them. Anyway, let's head in, Ren said. They all nodded to their leader before heading into the building. Midoriya stayed behind staring at his friends for a moment before smiling. They're right. I'm not defenseless anymore. Yeah, I have to remember all the work I put in. His legs wobbled as he walked forward. Thanks to Ren, Tommy, Yui, and Jiru, I'm actually going to be a hero, Midoriya thought, walking forward, but the boy caught his foot on the other, beginning to fall. Or I'll just die. Suddenly, Midoriya found himself floating in the air, with a brown-haired girl standing next to him. Her name is Ochako Yurikara. She is a short girl of a slender yet curvy figure. She is fair-skinned with a perpetual blush on her cheeks. Her eyes are large and round, their irises a warm brown, with rather thick upper eyelashes, two longer and more prominent ones protruding outwards on either side, and fewer but more individually pronounced lower eyelashes, shoulder length and about the same color as her eyes. Her hair is bobbed and curved inwards at the ends, two longer clumps taking the same shape on either side of her face, and short bangs that reach roughly a quarter of the way down her forehead. On the top inner segment of each of her fingers, she has a small pink pad, somewhat resembling the toe of a cat or a dog's paw. She wears a brown jacket under her school uniform. Hey, are you okay? Uraraka asked the boy. Midoriya began panicking as he floated, scrambling around in the air. Uraraka giggled, helping him down. I stopped you with my quirk. Uraraka smiled. I'm sorry I didn't ask first. But, she tilted her head. I figured you wouldn't mind me catching you. Midoriya stared at her as she continued speaking. Isn't this all like way nerve-wracking? Midoriya's cheeks tinted pink as he nervously stuttered, awkwardly moving around. Well, Uraraka said, I guess I'll see you inside. She turned, waving back to him. Bye. Midoriya accidentally made a terrifying face, smiling. Oh, well, I just talked to another girl, he thought before going inside. UA. High school auditorium morning. The Rangers were now in an auditorium, packed with a number of middle school students. They were all sitting next to one another, waiting for the announcement to start. Unfortunately, Bakugou was right next to them, as he was giving them all a death glare, but they chose to ignore him and make small talk with all the applications arriving in the auditorium. After a few minutes of waiting, a man walked up to the stage. His name is Hisashi Yamada, also known as the voice hero, Present Mike. He is a tall, slim man with long blonde hair, which he wears spiked upwards in a huge tuft behind his head, and a small brown mustache. He has rectangular eyes with concentric greenish-yellow pupils, and he is almost always seen with a large smile on his face and has never been seen drawn with nostrils. His hero costume consists of a black jacket with a very tall collar, upturned and complete with studs, and matching black pants and knee-high boots. He sports tan shoulder pads, a red belt and elbow pads, all studded, and black fingerless gloves. His neck is always obscured by a directional speaker which he uses with his quirk. He's wearing a pair of headphones with the word Hage written on the headband and a pair of orange-tinted shades. It looked like he was about to say something to everyone. What's up, UA? Candidates. Thanks for tuning in to me, your school DJ, Present Mike. He spread his hands out, grinning. Come on and let me hear ya. The man turned his head to the side, hand cupped over his ear. However, there was complete silence in response to his words. Present Mike gave up after a moment, still smiling. Keeping it mellow, huh? That's fine, I'll skip straight to the main show. He turned towards the audience. Let's talk about how this practical exam is going to go down. Okay. A flashy yellow background appeared behind him as he shot his arm into the air, shouting, Are you READAY? Once again, he was met with complete silence. However, Midoriya sat in the stands, fanboying about the hero, Present Mike. So cool. Midoriya gushed in excitement. I listen to his radio show every day of the week. It's so crazy nuts that all the UA teachers are pro heroes. Looks like Midoriyas have fun. Ren thought in this awkward silence. Will you shut up or do you want to die? Bakugou snapped at the quirkless boy. How about you shut up? Ren said to him. The hell you say? Bakugou growled. You heard him. Leave Midoriya alone, Jiru said with an irritated tone. Yui also approved. Bakugou just angrily stayed silent, not wanting to make a scene. Tommy sighs at Midoriya. But still, the kid needs to control his muttering. Present Mike raised his arm. As your application said, today you rockin' boys and girls will be out there conducting 10-minute mock battles in super hip urban settings. The screen switched to show the different areas, labeled a G. After I drop off the mic here, you'll head to your specified battle center as well. After being met by silence, Present Mike shouted out, only to be denied again. Akalahi. Each of the students glanced down at their cards, reading them thoroughly. Looks like I'm in the battle center B, Ren thought to himself. He looked over to his teammates' cards to see what center they were in. All four of us ended up in the same battle center. I see. Bakugou glanced over to Midoriya's card. They're splitting us up so we can't work with any of our friends. He realized the point of the test. Yeah, you're right, Midoriya commented looking at his card. Our examinee numbers are one after the other, but we're assigned to different battle centers. Bakugou glared at the boy. Get your eyes off my card, he sighed, glancing down. I was really looking forward to crushing you. Midoriya nervously laughed at his comment, while Ren, Jiru, and Yui were getting sick of Bakugou's attitude. Present Mike began to speak again. Okay, let's check out your charts. There are 3 types of faux villains in every battle center, he explained. You'll earn points based on their level of difficulty, better choose wisely. The screen displayed the robots that they'd be battling before displaying a quick demonstration video of what it'd be like. Your goal in this trial is to use your quirk to raise your score by shredding these faux villains like a mid-song guitar solo. He turned towards the audience, raising his finger. But check it. Make sure you keep things heroic. Attacking other examinees is a UA. No, you dig, he said, wagging his finger. Are they using Super Mario Bros. For the examples of how the physical exam will work? Ren questions with a raised eyebrow. Yup, Yui quietly said. Odd choice for showing the instructions, though. I'll say, Jiru said. Sounds simple enough. It's like some kind of video game. Tommy thought about what Mike said about the practical exam. Then suddenly, a boy stood up, with his hand raised. "Excuse me, sir, but I have a question." "Hit me," Present Mike shouted back. A spotlight appeared on the boy with glasses. He is a relatively tall and muscular young man with a wide frame. He has short dark blue hair, flattened neatly down and parted on the right side of his head, a small patch completely shaved near the base of his head, and rather square eyes that match the notably pointed shape of his jaw. He usually wears a serious expression, and his eyebrows seem to be permanently pointed inwards, quite thin and long in length, the far ends sharply hooked inwards, and he wears glasses with rectangular lenses. His name was Tenya Ida. Everyone turned their heads to see what he was about to say. He'd pointed his finger at the battle card. "On the printout, you've listed 4 types of villains, not 3. With all respect, if this is an error on official UA materials, it is shameful." Ida was going on about. "Oh god, he's one of those types of people," Ren thought annoyingly as he was rolling his eyes away from the boy, with his eyes closed and arms crossed, as he stopped paying attention to him. Guys who stick to the rules like religion or hold themselves too high and also think that they're always right tend to get on their nerves. This kid reminds me of Sky when he started off as the SPD, Blue Ranger. Holo Tommy thought, remembering every Power Ranger and their history. Ida then put the paper down, beginning to preach. "We are exemplary students. We expect the best from Japan's most notable school. A mistake such as this won't do." Additionally, he pointed at Midoriya. "You with the unkempt hair." Midoriya was confused. "Me?" he asked. "You've been muttering this entire time." "Stop that. If you can't bother to take this seriously, then leave. You're distracting the rest of us." He scolded the green-haired boy and looked down in shame. That got Ren's attention, and what he said pissed him off. Not just him, but Jiru and Yui got pretty heated from Ada's comment. Midoriya embarrassedly covered his mouth. I'm sure he was about to apologize until Ren said something. "Hey you dick, was that really necessary?" Ren spoke out with anger in his voice. "Excuse me," Ida said as everyone in the auditorium turned their attention to Ren. "Did you really need to call him out like that over something so small?" Ren repeated. "But he's distributing." The glasses boy counted. "Don't you find him muttering inappropriate in such a prestigious institution?" "No," Ren answered, surprising him a bit. In fact, no one here was distracted or bothered by it. The only thing that's distracting is the guy who stands up and demands answers rather than wait and ask politely. But Ren wasn't done giving him a piece of his mind. "Not only that, but you don't know jack shit about him or how hard he worked to be here. So don't you dare say he isn't taking this seriously." This caused Ida to flinch in fear from Ren's fury. "Yeah, so why don't you mind your own damn business, Four Eyes?" Jiru shouted, glaring at Ida. The boy flinched again at the girl's attitude. "But I was." Ida tried to say something, but Ren didn't give him the chance. "But nothing," Ren said irritatedly. "Just sit down, shut the hell up, and quit wasting everyone's time." Ren finished. Ida was now stunned by this. He wanted to say something but was too afraid to speak with Ren and Jiru glaring at him. So he didn't say anything else and sat back down. "Asshole," Ren mumbled quietly. "You can say that again." Jiru agreed, being the only one to hear Ren's comment. "You okay, Midoriya?" Yui asked him. Why yes." He shuddered. "Ignore him and anyone else who messes with you," Yui said to him. Alright and thanks," Midoriya happily said with a nervous smile. Alright, Present Mike said as he waved his arms. Examinee number 7111. "Thanks for calling in with your request." The screen zoomed into the 4th villain as Present Mike explained, pointing at the image. "The 4th villain type is worth 0 points. That guy's just an obstacle we'll be throwing in your way. There's one in every battle center. Think of it as a hurdle you should try to avoid. It's not that it can't be beaten. There's kinda no point." He said, raised his arm into the air, palm facing towards the sky. "I suggest my listeners try to ignore it and focus on the ones on top of the charts. Thank you very much." The glasses boy stood up, bowing. "Please continue." "Oh, I get it," one student compared. "They're kinda like traps you have to get by in games." The boy next to him replied. "The whole thing's like a video game, huh? But before you listen or tackle the practical exam, you have to take the written exam first," he said to the student. "The classroom you will be assigned to will be the same as your battle center, so if you're in battle center A, you will head to classroom A," he explained. Present Mike did a static version of jazz hands. "That's all I got for you today. I'll sign you off with a sample of our school motto. As General Napoleon Bonaparte once laid down, a true hero is one who overcomes life's misfortunes. MHHM. Now that's a tasty sound bite." He grinned menacingly, the camera zooming into his face. "You ready to go beyond?" The man raised his arms in the air, Plus Ultra written across the screen. "Let's hear a Plus Ultra." After no response, Present Mike simply shouted, Good luck. Hope you practiced more than hitting just books. He then exited the stage. That's quite an inspiring motto. Holo-Tommy complimented. Our little ones were its morphin time. Once a ranger, always a ranger, and rangers forever, defending together. Their motto is not as good as ours, but it's inspiring the kids except for the explosion boy. All the students were ready for the intense test. Ren and Jiru both had little smiles on their faces. Yui still had the same blank expression she also showed. And Midoriya had a nervous smile for the upcoming mock battle while Bakugou excitedly clenched his fist. Good luck. Hope you practiced more than hitting just books, President Mike said before exiting the stage. Everyone in the auditorium got up from their seats and hurried to their respective classrooms for the written exam. Ren and the other rangers got up as well. Bakugou shoulder bumps Midoriya's, which slams him in the wall, and calmly says, I can't wait to see your face when you fail, you damn Deku. Why yeah. Midoriya ignores the bump and agrees with what Bakugou said. Bakugou just smiled, putting this damn nerd in his place, and walked off to his exam area to crush this damn exam. But Ren placed his left leg in front of Bakugou's leg and Jiru wrapped her earphones jack around his right leg, causing the arrogant blonde to stop and trip on the floor face first. Whoops, my leg slipped, Ren sarcastically said. That's what you get for being an ass, Jiru said with a teasing smile. Yui slightly chuckles. Bakugou then got himself up with a murderer's gaze in his eyes. You damn extras. I'll kill. You're going to what? Ren said, narrowing his eyes at the blonde bully. Think twice about your next move or you can kiss getting into UA. Goodbye. Bakugou immediately calmed down and gave Ren a death glare. Quirkless freaks and stupid bitches, he said while walking away. Ren then turned to a depressed Midoriya. Midoriya, as much as love to stand up for you, you need to stop letting that guy and other people walk all over you like that. Ren said to him, yeah, man, you gotta stand up for yourself more. Jiru added in, I know, but it's just that. Midoriya tries to say, no buts. I get that you didn't have an easy life because you're quirkless, but that isn't an excuse to act like a coward. Ren tells his friend, Midoriya, you need to get over your fear of him. How can you be a hero if you can't even stand against your bully? But Kaken is not a bully, he is just an overconfident friend, Midoriya said in his defense. Midoriya, he's not your friend, he's nothing but an egotistical bully who loves picking on those weaker than himself, Ren stated while shaking his head. And he's not going to stop until you finally stand up to him. I fight Kaken. Midoriya gushed at the thought of fighting him. I don't think I can do that. Yes, you can, kid, Holo-Tommy said to the boy. You're not that defenseless person you once were when you met us. You're a Power Ranger now and it's time to start acting like one. Alright, I'll try. Midoriya said he felt pretty bad about himself for having his friends fight his battles for him. From here on out, you're all on your own. Holo-Tommy spoke to his students. Be sure to hide your morphers before you enter the mock battle of the exam. I'll talk to all of you again once the entrance exam is over, he ordered before going silent. You heard the man. Let's go Rangers, their leader said to them. Right, the other said, as all of them headed to classroom B for the written exam. UA, High School Ground Beta City B morning. After 2 hours of taking the written portion of the exam, the Rangers are now heading to the battle center. They took a bus to the battle center B, standing outside in front of the gate that led into the fake city. All the other students were preparing themselves for the practical exam both physically and mentally. Ren and Jiru were doing stretches to loosen their muscles. Yui had the same expression on her face as usual. And Midoriya looked like he was having a mental breakdown. Midoriya glanced downwards, scanning through the crowd with a nervous expression. Both familiar and unfamiliar students were spread throughout, confidently waiting for the exam to begin. How come these guys don't seem nervous at all? Are they that confident? Some of them even have special gear, he wonders while trembling. It's probably because they had quirks for their entire life which may lead to their downfall. Midoriya turns to see Ren behind him doing stretches. From what I've seen so far, they'll probably underestimate the enemies and the competitors in the mock battle which will lead to them earning only a few points, Ren explained. How are you so calm right now, Ren? We just recently had our ranger abilities and are still inexperienced with them, Midoriya stated in concern. The other students will have a higher chance of passing than us, even if they do underestimate their opponents. For 3 simple reasons, Midoriya, Ren said holding up 3 fingers. Number 1. Underestimating your opponent is the worst possible thing a person could do because it will end up leading to their own defeat. He raised one finger. Number 2, we also trained for this exam just as hard as everyone else here, even if it was only for a few months. He raised his second finger. Number 3, worrying about it isn't going to change our situation. It's either we pass or fail. Nothing more, nothing less. He raised his final finger. Midoriya just blinked multiple times to the 3 reasons. They were simple but at the same time unbelievably right. You know, Ren, I wish I was as level-headed as you. Midoriya said with a light chuckle. I was only stating some facts, Midoriya. Ren said to him. Just remember your training and you'll be fine. He said then walked away. Ren's right. I just have to remember everything Tommy taught us and I'll be fine. Midoriya thought, feeling a little better. As he looked around, Midoriya noticed Uraraka at the front of the crowd. Hey, it's her. The nice girl I met at the school gates. The one who kept me from falling. Sweat dripped down Midoriya's forehead as he nervously made his way to the girl. I should probably thank her for helping me back there. Then out of nowhere, a hand was placed on Midoriya's shoulder, causing him to turn around. His face turned to one of fear and shock as he saw Ida behind him. His eyes narrowed. He's here too, Midoriya thought in shock. Ida looked up, noticing Uraraka. From his point of view, she was clearly doing some sort of warm-up exercise, attempting to calm herself. She looks like she's trying to focus on the trials ahead. Ida connected eyes with Midoriya, giving him a pointed look. What are you going to do? Distract her and ruin her chances to succeed? Midoriya began to panic, denying his accusation. No, that's not it, he said in his defense. The students from the crowd were drawn to Midoriya and Ida as the boy shouted, chuckling at his performance. Hey look, it's the guy who almost bit it out front earlier. One student laughed. Another one pointed his finger towards him, grinning. He practically wet himself in the lecture hall. The entire crowd was laughing at Midoriya and thinking how lucky they were. He's out, they all said in unison, except for one girl. Her name is Itsuka Kendo. She is medium height and has a slim build. She has teal eyes and long ginger hair that she typically wears tied into a high ponytail on the left side of her head. Her bangs are split into 3 clumps around her eyes, and some of her hair sticks up in large tufts at the top of her head. Poor guy, Kendo sadly thought, feeling bad for the green-haired boy. Why do I feel like everyone's already written me off? Midoriya sighed in disappointment. Dude, what a loss. Then suddenly, everyone heard a loud cracking noise and the ground shaking under their feet. Before anyone said anything else, the entire crowd turned to see a pissed-off Ren, Jiru, and surprising Yui, who all had their foot impaled into the ground. They all met with cold glares from the 3 rangers, thus making the students flinch and shutting them up from any further laughing. Anyone else got something to say about him? Ren said in a cold tone. Nobody said anything. They just took a few steps back, avoiding the wrath of the angry rangers. That's what I thought, Ren said as he turned to Ida, who flinched from his cold gaze as he walked up to him. And as for you, do you have some sort of problem with my friend? Ren asked in a cold tone that could match his stare. Oh, of course there's a problem. Ida was struggling to say, unable to meet his gaze. He was planning on distracting that girl and ruining her chances of passing the exam. He said, pointing at Uraraka. Uraraka said in confusion. Ren then slightly turned his head to Midoriya. Midoriya, is that true? He asked. No. That's not it at all. I just wanted to thank her for helping me earlier and wish her luck on the exam. Midoriya explains his actions. Ren then turned his attention back to Ida. You see there, all he was going to do was say thank you and good luck to her. And once again you show yourself for being a hypocrite and accusing him of distracting someone. And all I'm seeing is you doing the same exact thing of what you said. With an angry look on his face. Ida then was introduced by Jiru as she walked up next to Ren. But nothing 4 eyes. Just leave him the hell alone and mind your own goddamn business or else. Jiru said, pointing her jack at Ida's face. Am I clear? Why yes. Ida responds in fear. Before anything else was said, the giant gate to the center opened for a person to go through. Ren saw this and then grabbed Midoriya by his wrist, which surprised him, and sprinted into the city at an incredible speed. Jiru and Yui followed suit as they followed behind them. Hey, wait Ren, Midoriya yelled in surprise as the rangers ran inside the fake city. The others were just standing there in confusion, watching the 4 rangers heading into the fake city and wondering what just happened. What are they doing? Kendo asked out loud, still in confusion. Is that even allowed? Uraraka asked in confusion. Of course, it's not allowed. Ida shouted while chopping his arm in the air. Those 4 miscreants just broke the exam rules. It's unacceptable and unsportsmanship-like behavior that shouldn't be allowed here. Right, let's start. President Mike's voice called out, catching everyone's attention. Get moving. There are no countdowns in real battles, and those other 4 listeners had the right idea, and now are ahead of all of you. Present Mike waved his arm rapidly, signaling for them to move. Run, 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 listeners. You're wasting your time here. With that said, the students now realized that the 4 Power Rangers got ahead of them and started running into the fake city. UA High School Ground Beta City B morning. Meanwhile, Ren and his team managed to make it into the city ahead of everyone else and started to spot a few robots. Showtime guys, Ren said as he ran up to a 3-pointer. The faux villain notices Ren and attacks him. Fear me, I am a villain, the robot said while attacking him. Ren quickly spins to the side and delivers a powerful kick, destroying the faux villain. Then a 1-pointer attacks from his left side, but Ren jumps over its assault to avoid the attack and hops off the 1-pointer body to attack a 2-pointer next to the robot. Ren then shatters the 2-pointer with a left punch and quickly rushes back at the 1-pointer to destroy it with another punch. Yui dodges a 1-pointer attack, grabs the robot by its arm, and lifts the 1-pointer in the air with her enhanced ranger strength. She noticed a 2-pointer rushing her from the right side and swung the faux villain she was holding into the 2-pointer like a baseball bat, destroying both robots at once. Another 2-pointer ran up to Yui, only for her to leap over it and touch the faux villain with a right hand, then placed her fingertips together, shrinking it down to the size of a puppy with her quirk, and crushes it with her foot when she lands back on the ground. Jiru ran up between 2 1-pointers and struck them both down with her jacks, shattering them into pieces. Wow, I knew I was strong but not that strong, Jiru said in awe looking at her work. Her thoughts were broken when a 3-pointer ran up to her. It launches a punch at her, but she does the same in return, ripping off its arm and finishing it with one of her jacks jabbing into the faux villain. Jiru had then pumped a sound wave into it using her heartbeat and disabled it instantly. Let's see if my new strong can help me, Midoriya said, leaping in the air and kicking the 2-pointer, destroying it completely. I did it, he thought in joy. He then slowly lands back on the ground like a feather as he rolls on the floor but quickly rushes at another faux villain with its back turned. He then punches the 3-pointer with enough force to send it flying as it shatters in midair. Midoriya looked at his hands and then at his teammates. Unbelievable. Our bodies are light as a feather. Our punches are strong enough to rival Death Arm's strength, and our speed is similarly fast as Ingenium. Is this the power of a Power Ranger? He asked himself. Midoriya, heads up, Ren shouted at his friend. That broke Midoriya out of his thoughts as he didn't notice a faux villain attacking from behind. He turned to see it attack him and jumped out of the way just in time for Ren to use the head of a broken robot, and kicked it at the faux villain, destroying it. Get your head in the game, Midoriya. This is no time to be spacing out. Ren slightly scolded him. Sorry, Midoriya apologized. It might be best for us to split up and search for more villains, Jiru suggested. Good call. Ren nodded in agreement. Let's divide and conquer, and regroup in the next few minutes, Ren said. Got it, Midoriya, Yui, and Jiru said before all 4 Rangers went in different directions to find more faux villains to fight. Running around the city at an incredible speed, Ren came across 7 more robots, and prepared for battle. He changed at one of the faux villains as it did the same. When Ren came close to the 2-pointer, it raised its right hand high and swung at him. But Ren jumped to the left side, causing the 2-pointer to stumble. Taking advantage of this, Ren punches the down robot, breaking it to pieces. Another 2-pointer attacks him from behind, but Ren's senses kick in. Too slow. Ren quickly grabbed the broken robot pieces and used them as a shield to block the attack. Ren then used his made shift shield on the other 2-pointer, destroying it in one blow. After that, he spun his body around to throw his shield at both 1 and 3-pointers, cutting them both down at the same time. Come on, I'm just getting started, Ren taunted the roaming robots. The 3 faux villains all changed at him at the same time. When one was close enough, Ren moved to the right side and kicked the second one behind it, shattering the 1-pointer. Using the momentum of the kick to fly back over the 2-pointer, he dodges and axe kicks it to pieces. The last remaining one rushed up to Ren, ready to attack him from behind, but Ren planned to counter the 3-pointer until a beam of light shattered it, which slightly surprised Ren. Got him, a voice shouted proudly. What? He looked to where the beam came from to see a blonde-haired boy with both hands over his head and some support items wrapped around his stomach. His name is Yuga Aoyama. He's a guy with a slim build and a rather feminine face. He has long blonde hair, worn flattened down around the majority of his head, spiked and sticking out to the sides at the bottom of it, with a side fringe that curves upwards a little before it goes down. He has notably long eyelashes and bright indigo eyes, giving him the appearance of a young prince. Merci beaucoup, Aoyama posed, doing exaggerated hand movements. We make a great team with you as my decoy. He closed his eyes for a moment, winking as a sparkle came from his fingertips. Ren's eyebrows just twitch in annoyance at the comment. "That's not teamwork, you idiot," he shouted at him, "although I doubt I'll be seeing too much of you in the future." The French boy sped off in an alley. "Adieu." Ren just let out an annoying sign before running off to find more faux villains to destroy. Meanwhile, Midoriya managed to destroy 10 robots after splitting up from his team. He also rescued some of the participants, but it was hindering him from getting villain points. He currently has 39 villain points. He was glad that he was able to get this many points thanks to Ren's quick thinking. He also overheard some of the points that the other students had. Midoriya happened upon a scene with several students. A large group of robots were smoking on the ground as students scrambled about, searching for more. Midoriya looked from side to side, noticing Uraraka. Her again. Uraraka ran around, touching a few robots as they started to levitate in the air. Clearly tired, she pressed her fingertips together. "Now, release." The robots clattered to the ground as she heaved, pausing for a moment before running off again. "Okay, that should be at least 28 points," Uraraka said in exhaustion. "Huh?" Midoriya gasped in surprise. 28 points. That's pretty impressive. Ida then rushed across the field, crushing a robot with a single kick. "That puts me at 45. He commented. 45. Even Nomi and the others rushed into the battle center ahead of the other students. He still managed to have more than me. How'd he get so many points? Midoriya thought in awe and took a look at Ida's legs. Engine. So that's how. He must have some kind of speed quirk. Midoriya realized. Anyway, better gain more points or else I'll fall behind, he stated before running in a different direction to find more faux villains. He saw 4 more faux villains in Kendo, who crushed one of them with an enlarged fist and another by swinging her other enlarged hand. Her hands just grow. What an interesting quirk, Midoriya thought in shock and excitement. Both robots decided to attack the girl at the same time and rushed Kendo from both sides. Midoriya saw this and spread it into action. Kendo destroyed one of them and was about to attack the other, only for Midoriya to bet her to it. She was a bit surprised to see him defeat that faux villain in one shot and just give him a warm smile. "Thanks for the save." "It's no problem," Midoriya said to her quickly behind leaving. "Hey wait," Kendo said, stopping the boy. "Is there something you need to miss?" he asked kindly. "That was a pretty mean punch you have right there. I'm impressed you were able to do that much damage to the faux villain." Kendo complimented the Rangers. Really? Thanks," Midoriya said, not knowing her name. "Kendo. Itsuka Kendo." Kendo introduces herself. It's nice to meet you, Kendo. I'm izukumidoriya," Midoriya said shyly, making the girl giggle. 6 minutes and 44 seconds left. Present Mike called out over the loudspeakers. "I have to go," Midoriya said to her. "I understand. Good luck with passing the exam, Midoriya," Kendo said to him. "Best of luck to you, Kendo." Midoriya nodded before running off. Kendo watched him leave and thought to herself, "Izukumidoriya, what an interesting guy." UA. High School Observation Room morning. In a dark room, multiple people were watching the exam through a set of multiple TV screens that helped see as many students as possible from the multiple test grounds. They are the judges of the exam and see who passes or fails. It's been over 4 minutes since the practical exam started. "We have a lot of good candidates this year, that's for sure," a man with a cowboy hat said. His hero's name was Snipe. He has the appearance of a stereotypical Western cowboy. His face is covered by an old-school tan gas mask, shaped a little like a horse's muzzle, with triangular holes for his eyes and silver ear defenders wired to the sides of the mask. But his dark, bluish shoulder-length dreadlocks are always visible from the back and sides. On his head, he wears a brown cowboy hat with a thick metallic plate at the front, a large S stamped in the center, and gray boots with knee-high shafts and vamps with silver trims that dip a little at the front, a heel band with a spur at the end attached to the back of each boot. He wears a large red cloak, buttoned up at the top, with frayed ends, under which he wears a plain black tank top with white armor strapped over the right side of his torso, and a brown belt with a gun holster attached at his hip. He has baggy black or dark brown pants with light brown or yellow chaps over them in stereotypical cowboy fashion. On his arms, he wears black skin-tight arm guards going up to his biceps, and on his hands, tan gloves. They all seem to be very skilled with using their quirks in combat. A white-haired man said. His name is Sekijiro-kan, also known by his hero name, Blood Hero Vlad King. He is a very tall, wide-set man of a bulky, muscular build, with lightly tanned skin, and a few visible scars showing on his left cheek and the left side of his notably thick neck. He has short pale gray hair that is spiked upwards, away from his face, the only exception to this being the small clump of hair that hangs down over the left of his forehead. His eyes are very small and thin, and he has a wide mouth with 2 prominent lower canines, which appear even when his mouth is closed. His hero costume consists of a dark red skin-tight suit with a very low U-shaped collar, which exposes the middle of his pectoral muscles and is lined with a thick black trim, which matches the ones over his shoulders. He wears white over-the-knee boots and thick vambraces over his lower arms, a thin wire snaking from one of the two small protrusions on the left one to the back of his neck, and red gloves. Around his waist, he has a three-piece metallic belt that dips downwards in the center, and he wears an orange mask over his eyes. Clearly, the examinees have no idea how many villains are present or their locations. A small mouse person commented, and a screen of the students was displayed in front of several rows of judges and teachers. His name is Nezu, also known as Mr. Principal. He is a pro-hero and the principal of UA High School. He is a stout man who appears to be a possible combination of several different animals, including a dog, a mouse, and a bear, which would make him a chimera. He has the head of a mouse with circular black eyes, a large scar over the right one, relatively rectangular-shaped ears with pale pink insides slanting outwards from the top of his head, and an elongated muzzle with a small round nose. His fur is white and has large, dog-like paws with pink pads and a thin tail like that of a cat. He sports a white dress shirt, a dark red tie around his neck, a black double-breasted waistcoat, and matching dress pants. He wears orange lace-up sneakers with incredibly thick soles which seem to be quite large on him. They have limited time, must cover a vast area, and hunt down every last target. Nezu continues. Some use information gathering abilities to plan out strategies, he explained. A picture of a tall muscular young man with 6 arms appearing on screen. He continued as Ida appeared next, while others rely on speed to pull ahead of their peers. He explains. Of course, Aoyama shouting a lesser from his belt came next. Remaining calm under pressure can be a huge advantage. With his next words, Bakugou appears next on the screen standing on top of a pile of broken robots. As can pure power and combat ability, the most successful students use a combination of all these tactics. They're the ones who rack up the highest scores. Nezu finishes. A dark purple-haired woman commented. I'd say this year's group looks promising. Her name is Nimurikeyama, also known as the R-rated hero, Midnight. She was a tall, curvaceous woman with sky-blue eyes, which tilted downwards in the center, framed by a set of rather long eyelashes. She had abundant spiky dark purple hair which was made up of layers of varying lengths, the longest ones reaching down below her waist. Her chin-length bangs were split into 3 sections, 2 swept to the sides and 1 over her face, going diagonally down to the left between her eyes. She also had a small beauty mark below her left eye, as well as red painted nails. Her hero costume was very similar to one of a traditional dominatrix. She wore a breastless, black leather leotard, similar in style to a corset, over a thin, skin-tight white bodysuit, which accentuated her voluptuous figure. The center strip of her leotard was embellished with red gemstone-like accessories in a vertical pattern, extending from her collar to her midriff. She also wore translucent, black, thigh-high garter stockings, which were attached to a burgundy utility belt decorated with gold studs around her hips, a matching pentagonal buckle in its center, and black knee boots. She had a small red mask outlining her eyes, and a handcuff on each wrist. Yes, they all do have some interesting quirks, a slender man said. His hero's name is Ectoplasm. He is a tall, slender man with short hair and completely blank eyes tilted inwards. Due to losing his legs in the line of duty, he uses replacement prosthetics, and when in anything but his hero attire, he wears a pair of large glasses. In his hero costume, he wears a tan cloak that covers most of his body, the area over his torso, and the high collar resembling that of a double-breasted trench coat. Underneath this, he wears a skin-tight black bodysuit with a golden striped neck area, and a matching black helmet that covers his entire head, a jaw guard attached over his nose and around his jaw, and circular mufflers. He also wears baggy dark gray pants and a pair of thin, lightweight prosthetic legs. I agree, especially that young boy with the explosion quirk. He's just tearing through those faux villains like they are nothing. A skinny man commented. His name is Higari Majima, also known as Excavation Hero, Power Loader. He is a short, skinny man with a very youthful appearance for his advanced age. He has spiky ginger hair, reaching just past his shoulders, and dull blue eyes, as well as a notably large mouth. His hands appear to be the largest part of his body, disproportional to his rather small frame. His hero costume consists of a large yellow helmet in the shape of a rectangular excavator claw, the top piece of which protrudes outwards to cover his head and most of his face, and the bottom piece left to act as something of a long jaw guard. He leaves himself shirtless and also wears a pair of large, fingerless gray gloves with metal guards that extend down his arms, as well as a pair of plain cyan pants. When in battle, his helmet is hooked up to a large steel appliance that he sits on and can use for combat, as it includes a pair of sizable metal arms. Yes, but he seems to be very aggressive. He has only obtained villain points and hasn't gotten a single hero point. A woman in a spacesuit stated. Her hero's name is 13. She is wearing a costume consisting of a white spacesuit design using what appears to be a puffy jacket instead of an actual suit, a black helmet with white eyes, and a pair of yellow boots. It is possible to assume that 13 is thin, given the quite small legs showing between the costume's pants and shoes, but this is unconfirmed. He does have the potential to be a great hero, but he needs a lot of work to be real in his behavior. A humanoid black man said. Ken Ishiyama, also known by his hero named Cementos. He appears to be a humanoid block of cement with black, seemingly shut eyes and gray hair tied into a short ponytail. His body shape is evenly blocky all around his body. His eyes are generally closed and his lips are pulled upwards. His hero costume consists of a sleeveless brown suit that includes yellow stripes, shorts, and an elongated collar. He also sports gray shoes with yellow soles. He reminds me a lot of Endeavor when he was at that age. A tired-looking man said as he narrowed his eyes at bakugou. His name is Shota Aizawa, also known as the Erasure Hero, Eraserhead. He is a slender and tall pale-skinned man with messy, shoulder-length black hair that partially hangs in front of his face and often half-open black eyes. He is usually recognized for his worn-out appearance, often having a fatigued appearance. His facial hair remains unkempt, and his eyes almost always look tired and flat. He is wearing a ragged black outfit that consists of a long-sleeved shirt and matching pants that tuck into his boots. He also wears a utility belt and his signature wrap scarf around his neck. Yes, he has a powerful drive, but if left unchecked, it could cause major problems in the future, Toshinori said with a nod. And the last thing our school needs is to create a second Endeavor, 13 said in worry. I guess I should give him some discipline, Midnight said with a sadistic smile. Control yourself, woman, Aizawa tiredly said to the heroine, then looked at the monitors with the 4 rangers. Excuse me, Nezu, but who are those 4? Nezu looks at the 4 rangers' files. Let's see. Yui Kodai, quirk, size. Let her alter the size of non-living objects that she has interacted with. He then looks at Jiru's files next. Kyoka Jiru, quirk, earphone jack. Let her use headphone jacks hanging from her earlobes. When the jacks are plugged into something, she can channel the sound of her heartbeat through them in the form of a violent vibration attack. She can also stretch her earlobes several meters. This quirk also allows her to hear minuscule sounds and vibrations from her surroundings. Not bad quirks for those 2 young ladies to have. Ectoplasm said. What about the other 2 boys? Aizawa asked. Ranamamiya and izukumidoriya, Nezu said before pausing for a second. Well, this is interesting. It says right here that the both of them are quirkless. He smiled, seeing a quirkless people finally taking the exam. What? The other teachers yelled in shock. Quirkless? Don't they know that hero work is dangerous for a quirkless person? Midnight worriedly stated. Who said that quirkless people can't be heroes? Aizawa questioned, as all the other teachers looked his way, especially Toshinori. As long as they have potential, then they can be heroes. Aizawa, this job is dangerous for the quirkless children. Toshinori protested, which made Aizawa raise his eyebrow. The both of them could be killed when they encounter a villain. Aizawa just snickers at the number 1 hero's comment. Did you forget that my quirk is basically useless against mutant types quirks? I have to learn martial arts to attack and defend myself. I'm basically quirkless, so what is the difference between me and a quirkless person? He said. Toshinori was thinking deeply and completely forgot that Aizawa is basically powerless against villains with mutant types quirks. And it's not just me. There are plenty of other pro heroes who don't have physical superpowers but still manage to get the job done, Aizawa added on. Yes, I fully agree with you, Aizawa, Nezu said drinking his tea. There are a number of heroes who don't possess any physical powers. For example, our very own staff members Midnight, Recovery Girl, Lunch Rush, and Snipe. He said, making everyone there realize that all of them don't have any physical quirks. And let not forget the wild pussycats, Ragdoll and Mandalay. It's like what Aizawa said, must heroes with quirks like these realize martial arts to fight against villains? So if both Amamiya and Midoriya manage to pass the exam without a quirk, then that will make them even more impressive. Nezu happily said. That got all of the heroes thinking. Is it really possible for a quirkless person to be a hero? Also, I think I should point something out, Aizawa said, getting their attention. If you pay attention to all 4 of them, they're smattering the robots with only a single punch and kick like they were garbage cans. I see. Those 4 really are destroying them in a single blow. Nezu said, impressed by their performance. It almost looks like they have strength quirks. But didn't you say Midoriya and Amamiya were quirkless? Todai and Jiru don't have any strength enhancement quirks, Power Loader said in confusion. Who knows? But look at their bodies. It almost looked like they're levitating when they landed back on the ground, as if the 4 of their bodies were like feathers, Aizawa stated, which shocked the teachers. I can also see that their speed is slightly faster than any of the applicants, except for the troublesome boy and the kid brother of Ingenium. You're right, all 4 of them look like they have the same ability. But is it a quirk or not? Nezu stated that the teachers were amazed as the 4 Power Rangers kept destroying the foe villains with only a single punch and kick with ease. You mean to tell me those 2 are that skilled without quirks? Snipe asked. All 4 of them have a lot of potential. They easily take out bots while also actively focusing on helping the other examinees. 13 said. Those kids aren't half bad, especially Amamiya and Midoriya, Aizawa commented. I also notice instead of relying on their powers, all 4 of them are beating the foe villains with martial arts alone. He pointed out, they also have a good sense of their surroundings, Ectoplasm said, impressed by the Rangers. For being quirkless, those 2 are doing especially well. Midnight said, watching Ren kick a foe villain into pieces. Now that I take a closer look, that Amamiya does look quite handsome, she said, licking her lips. Oh god, please don't, Midnight, Vlad King said, running his hand over his face. In any case, let's just watch and see how this plays out, Cementos said. Toshinori just silently watched the screen and was slightly disturbed by the Rangers' deployment of power. Where have I seen those 2 before? He thought, looking at both Ren and Midoriya. Ren was destroying every foe villain he saw in his sight and helped any examine he came across in danger. He then punches a 3-pointer in the face, crushing it with 1 blow before he saw the other Rangers coming his way. Yui used her quirk to shrink a 1-pointer and hold it in her hand. Then she throws it at 3 foe villains before it grows back to its regular size and crashes into them, destroying all 4 robots. Midoriya came running out of an alleyway while destroying multiple foe villains that were in his way like they were ragdolls. Jiru used her earphone jacks to lift 2 foe villains in the air and destroy them with her heartbeat. Then jumps on top of a 2-pointer and punches it to pieces before hopping off it and slowly landing on the ground. 5 minutes and 2 seconds left. Present Mike called out over the loudspeakers. Soon all 4 Rangers regroup with each other. So, how many points does everyone have? Ren asked. I should have 56 points, Midoriya said in confidence. I'm at 57 points, Jiru said to them. 55 points, Yui said in a neutral expression. I've got 59 points, Ren said to his team. But because anything else was said, the ground started to rumble violently. What's going on? Midoriya said in confusion. I heard something coming, Jiru said, pointing her earphone jack in the direction of the noise. Then out of nowhere, multiple examines were heading their way like they were running from something. There's too many of them, a boy said in fear. I didn't sign up for this, another one shouted. We have to get out of here, the girl cried, running away. Soon all the examines from the battle center started to gather in one place, with the stampeding increasing. The Rangers saw a ton of foe villains heading their way towards them and the other examines. Everyone was freaking out about how many there are and how they were going to deal with them. That's a lot of robots, Ren said with a sweat drop rolling down his face. No kidding. Jiru agreed with this whole situation. Yeah, Yui said. How are we going to face that many? Midoriya said with a little fear in his voice. Kids, use your morphers, Holo Tommy said, getting their attention. This is the only time I'm helping you for. Ren and the other looked at each other and nodded, knowing this was the perfect time for morph. Meanwhile, the other examines are still figuring out what to do next. This seems to be a bit too much, even if it is an exam, Ida thought, pushing up his glasses before preparing for the wave of villains. I can't back down now. I have to get into UA and support my family, Hirakawa thought in determination, despite having a little fear from seeing this many robots. There are so many of them. Well, I guess it can't be helped, Kendo thought, getting ready to fight. Before the examines could do anything, they all noticed Ren, Midoriya, Yui, and Jiru calmly walking forward to the wave of foe villains standing side by side of one another, with Ren and Midoriya in the middle while Jiru was on Midoriya's right side and Yui on Ren's left. Soon, the group stopped when they were a good decision away from the other examines and the foe villains coming in large numbers. Everyone was just wondering what the 4 of them were doing and how they were planning to stop that many robots on their own. Okay, let's do it, guy, Ren said, bringing out his master morpher and placing it on his left wrist. Then it turns into the samurai morpher and he grabs it with his right hand. Midoriya grabs the mystic morpher cell phone and holds it in his right hand. Yui puts the overdrive tracker on her left shoulder. Jiru placed the wolf morpher on her left wrist, While all of this was happening, the students and teachers were watching them and wondering what they were doing. UA, High School Observation Room morning. What are those? Are they some kind of support items? Power Loader wondered. Are they permitted to use support items? Nezu, 13 curiously asked. Nezu takes a look at the support items permitted. But there was no permit from Ren, Midoriya, Yui, and Jiru. No, I think they may have forgotten to write a permit slip. How are these support items? They look like toys, Vlad King said, which made the teachers wonder the same thing as well. Anyway, bringing forbidden and non-permitted items on the exam will result in quick disqualification, Aizawa said in a strict tone. No wait, Aizawa, Nezu said, stopping Aizawa. I want to see this. Why? Aizawa asked in confusion. I have a feeling they're about to do something interesting, Nezu said, lying forward in his chair. That got the other teachers thinking. Just what are those four planning on doing with those toy items? But what are they even going to do with those items? Toshinori wonders, as all of this looks so familiar. UA, High School Ground Beta City B morning. Ready guys? Ren asked, looking at his teammates. Ready, they shouted back with determined looks on their faces. It's morphin time. The four rangers shouted together as they activated their morphers. Samurai morpher, Ren shouted while pulling the samurai morpher to his side, flicking it open as the light kanji symbol appeared on the screen. Then he spun it in his hand next to his face before stopping it. Gold power, Ren brought his morpher forward, and then in a flash of light, the appeared in the air as he swung his morpher into it, flipping the symbol to the other side. Midoriya flicks the Mystic Morpher cell phone open, presses a button on the side of the morpher to reveal a ruby tip on the phone, and then types in the code 123. Magical source, Mystic Force, he shouted while doing arm motions before pointing the Mystic Morpher to the sky. Yui grabbed the overdrive tracker morpher from her left shoulder, then brought it to the right side of his face before spinning it in her hand. She then stops the morpher before pressing a button to flick it open. Overdrive, accelerate, Yui shouted while bringing the morpher to her left side, then lifted her left arm, as her right arm shot forward while spinning the tracker wheel on her left arm. Jiru opens the head of the wolf morpher. Jungle Beast, Spirit Unleashed, Jiru shouted while thrusting her hands back, then brought her right arm to the left side and grabbed it with her left hand, before posing like a wolf. Morphing sequence, Samurai, Mystic Force, Operation Overdrive, and Jungle Fury. Ren pressed the enter button on the Samurai morpher, then brought his arms down to his side as he was in a dark golden area, with a giant symbol in front of him and surrounded by smaller symbols. The smaller symbols then started to levitate from the ground and a vortex of them surrounded him, changing Ren's outfit to a black gi with gold outline on it and a black mask revealing his eyes with the light kanji symbol on his forehead. Then a second vortex surrounds him again, forming his ranger outfit from his neck to his feet. Suddenly, a short sword comes flying past him and Ren grabs it from the hilt with his left hand. Then he turns around while placing the sword in its sheath attached to his back waist. He quickly turns back around, and suddenly the giant symbol flew straight to his face, changing into a helmet with a black visor of the kanji symbol on it. Ren then grabs the sword sheath from his back waist and spins it in his hand a few times, as he grabs the hilt with his other hand. He then draws the sword out to his side, holding it backhanded. Suddenly, Ren does a quick short back flip and places the sword back in its sheath. Galwat Misto Ranger, a mystery voice said while a lightning bolt came out of Midoriya's Mystic Morpher, and a magical circle with 5 insignias appeared in the sky. Then a tree-like minotaur descended from the magical circle and appeared before Midoriya as he posed alongside the creature. Midoriya looks up and leaps into the air with ease, going through the magical circle and creating his ranger outfit around him from his neck to his feet. Midoriya lands back on the ground and looks forward with the minotaur insignia behind him, before the helmet with a visor shaped like a minotaur formed around his head. As Midoriya's suit was complete, he took a pose with the cape flowing behind him. Yui was inside of a small metal room. She spins the tracker wheel on her left arm, igniting the tracker morpher tracker. She quickly brought her right arm to the left side before stretching both arms out wide. The morpher tracker still spinning. As the top put of the morpher flipped to the side, then Yui moved the morpher forward and passed a button on the side of the morpher. Then a hologram was displayed from the morpher, showing a red ranger outfit with a few weapons. The hologram started to glow as the ranger suit suddenly formed around Yui's body, and then a logo on her chest appeared. Suddenly, a helmet and shoulder pads appeared on Yui before she raised her head and started to pose. Jiru flips a switch on the wolf morpher and it starts to glow yellow like the moon, as she is standing in the middle of a forest at night. Then Jiru started to do martial arts wolf poses, while her body was surrounded by a purple aura. She then brought her hands back before thrusting them forward with the wolf animal spirit coming out. Jiru rushes into the wolf animal spirit as it forms around her body, turning into her ranger suit. Suddenly, her helmet formed from behind her head with the moon in the background before she struck a pose, and more of her took different ones. Suddenly, the screen got scratched out to reveal Jiru and the wolf spirit Zord. For the others who saw them change into their ranger forms, they saw Ren push a button on his morpher before putting his hands down to his side. Then a vortex of symbols surrounds him, changing Ren's outfit to a black gi with gold outline on it and a black mask revealing his eyes. Then a second vortex surrounds him again, forming a suit from his neck to his feet. Then out of nowhere, they saw a short sword come flying from his right side at him as it passed him. But Ren quickly grabs it with his left hand. Then he turns around while placing the sword in its sheath attached to his back waist. He quickly turns back around and the giant symbol flies straight to his face, changing into a helmet. They then saw him grab a sword sheath from his back waist and spin it in his hand a few times as he grabbed the hilt with his other hand. Then he draws the sword out to his side, holding it backhanded. Suddenly, they saw him do a quick short backflip and place the sword back in its sheath. They hear a mysterious voice while Midoriya's morpher shoots out a lightning bolt, and a magical circle with 5 insignias appears in the sky. Then they saw a creature descend from the magical circle and appear before Midoriya as he posed alongside the creature. They were shocked when they saw Midoriya leap into the air with ease, going through the magical circle and forming his suit around him from his neck to feet. They saw Midoriya land back on the ground, and then a helmet with a visor shaped like a minotaur formed around his head. Then they saw him take a pose with the cape flowing behind him. They saw Yui spin the tracker wheel on her left arm, igniting the morpher. Then saw her quickly bring her right arm to the left side before stretching both arms out wide. The morpher tracker still spinning. As they saw the top put of the morpher flips to the side, Yui moved the morpher forward and passed a button on the side of the morpher. Then they saw a hologram displayed from the morpher, showing a suit on it with a few weapons. Then out of nowhere, the hologram started to glow as they saw a suit suddenly formed around her body, and then a logo on her chest appeared. Suddenly, they saw a helmet and shoulder pads appear on Yui before she raised her head and started to pose. They saw Jiru flip a switch on her morpher, then it started to glow yellow. Then they saw her doing martial arts wolf poses while her body was surrounded by a purple aura. Jiru then brought her hands back before thrusting them forward when they saw a purple wolf coming out. Then saw her rushing into the purple wolf as it formed around her body, turning into a suit. Then they saw a helmet formed from behind her head. The examined students in Battle Center B were completely shocked at what they just saw. Ren and the others do. The teachers of the exam in the observation room were also dumbfounded by what they saw, especially the principal, whose intelligence can make him predict almost anything. But the Rangers wasn't done yet, because they still had more to say. Then the exam drones moved in closer to get a good look at all of the Rangers and their outfits. Gold Samurai Ranger, ready, Ren shouted while grabbing his sheath to pull out his sword and pose. He wore a golden samurai garb with a blue undersuit. The Y-shaped collar was blue with a white outline and with a silver belt buckle wrapped around the waist. On the right side of the belt, black holster that held the samurai morpher. The golden gloves and boots had a single blue line on their cuffs. There was a tanto sheathed in a fish-shaped scabbard. The helmet was gold with a visor in the shape of the Japanese kanji for light. Midoriya grabs his cape with his right hand and twirls around to his left before stopping. Then a green magical circle appears behind him, as the earth around him breaks apart while he is doing poses. Strong as a tree, green mystic ranger, Midoriya shouted while doing a pose, surrounded by a forest full of trees. He wore a green suit with a matching colored cape and shoulder pad. The shoulder pad had 2 black lines going across it and extending through the suit. Both of the lines were connected by an arrow-shaped line pointing downwards printed on the shoulder pad. There was also a golden belt buckle wrapped around the waist. The helmet was shaped to be similar to a minotaur's head. Kick into overdrive, Yui shouted before snapping her finger. Red Overdrive Ranger, she said while doing a pose. Then the headlights on her helmet started to flash briefly. She wore a red suit that had a skirt attached to it. The suit had a white line going down the middle. The pattern extends through the skirt and leggings beneath it, with a silver belt buckle wrapped around the waist and the morpher attached to the back of the belt. In the center of the torso was a compass insignia with a red and black arrow. The suit had small grill-shaped shoulder pads. The red gloves also have grill-shaped gloves. The helmet was designed similarly to a vehicle. Beneath the fin visor was the grill of a vehicle. Above it was headlights. With the courage of a wolf, Jungle Fury Wolf Ranger, Jiru shouted while she was doing martial arts wolf poses. She wore a violet suit with a black pattern around the shoulders that was separated by a white line. A 3-claw symbol was printed on the chest. She also wore a black skirt. The legs and arms of the Wolf Ranger were armored with silver gauntlets and boots with the wolf morpher on her left wrist. The helmet was designed after a wolf. Rangers forever, heroes all together. The four of them shouted together in sync for everyone to hear while getting into new poses. Power Rangers Hero Force. The Hero Force Rangers shouted before a giant explosion occurred behind them, further increasing their awesomeness. No one said anything. Nobody even bothered to move or breathe. They were all so blown away by what they just saw and heard, that the examinees had nothing but a look of beyond disbelief on all of their faces, with their eyeballs popping out and jaws dropped to the ground. Some of them thought it was the coolest thing they had ever seen in their lives. Some thought how they were able to pull something like that off, and well, some were still trying to process what they saw. There were only 4 examinees who retained their senses from the Ranger's morphin. What just happened? Yurikara slowly said, looking like she was going to pass out from the shock. What? How can they? Shouldn't? Ida was so confused he didn't know what to say. He was just wondering if something like this was allowed in the exam. Well, that's something you don't see every day, Kendo said out loud with widened eyes. What magnifique costumes, especially the gold and green ones. Aoyama complimented the design of the suits. UA, high school observation room morning. The teachers were doing no better than the examinations, still trying to process what the hell was going on. They didn't expect that support items would give them outfits. In fact, they never heard of support items that make costumes suddenly appear on a person. But what caught them off guard even more was how they announced themselves like that in front of everyone in that random giant explosion. What in the 9 heavens just happened right now? Spine asked in shock, backing the silence. I have no idea. Midnight answered quietly with a stunned look on her face. What in the world kind of support items are those? And who created them? Power Loader asked, unable to believe what he had just seen. Whoever made them must be one hell of a genius. 13 said with her eyes widened. Oh my goodness, it's them. Toshinori said, getting the others' attention. I knew I recognized them somewhere before, especially young Amamiya. He said, finally remembering Ren and Izuku. All Might, do you know those 2 boys? Cementus asked the stunned pro. Yes, I met young Midoriya a couple of months ago, and as for young Amamiya, he was responsible for stopping the sludge villain. Toshinori said, making the others in the room remember the incident as well. Wait a minute, you're right. That the same quirkless kid who beat the sludge villain and rescued those hostages. Ectoplasm shouted. Indeed, Nezu confirms with a nod and a wider smile after watching the Rangers morph and announce themselves. He is the same young man who put an end to that situation and gave an amazing speech on how a hero is supposed to act. Speaking of that speech, word is he's gotten some people bringing back the debate on if the quirkless should be able to become heroes because he defeated a villain handily. Midnight said, smiling. And that costume he's wearing is different from the one he uses against that villain. Vlad King pointed out. The design is different and it is golden. The other 3 have similar but different outfits on as well. Power Loader said, looking at everyone in their ranger's costume. Aizawa turned to his boss and said, Nezu, is something like this allowed? Their costumes should be considered against the rules. Nezu chuckles. I don't know, Aizawa, but this is interesting to see. What do you mean? Aizawa raised his eyebrow. Well, just watch and see how this plays out. Young Amamiya, Midoriya, Jiru, and Kodai might surprise us, Nezu said, looking forward to what happened next. Toshinori just wondering where they could have gotten the ability to summon costumes out of nowhere. UA, High School Ground Beta City B morning. Music, Kamen Rider X8 opening Excite full. After finishing their morphin, the Rangers just took in their new powers. Wow, this is incredible, Midoriya said, looking at himself. Not going to lie, but this is pretty sick, Jiru said, grinning behind her helmet. Yeah, Yui said, ready to let loose. Alright you guys, let's take them down. Ren said, pointing at the incoming robots. Let's go for the gold. Right? The others said as all of them let out a battle cry before charging at the faux villains. Ren ran up close to the robots before stopping a few feet away from them as 9 faux villains charged towards him. It's time to slice and dice, Barracuda Blade. Ren cried out while grabbing the Barracuda blade with his left hand and getting into a sword stance. When the 9 faux villains were in his range, Ren unleashed a fury of slashes at a blinding speed that looked like his body was moving in a blur. When all the robots run past him and stop moving, Ren sheathes his Barracuda blade. Then at the same time, the robot bodies began to spark before being cut into pieces and exploding right behind him. That act surprised everyone there who saw him take down all those robots in less than a second. And the scarier thing about that was they didn't even see him move. How did he do that? Mostly all the examines yelled in shock. UA, High School Observation Room morning. The teachers were just as confused and terrified of the quick takedown Ren just performed. What in the hell? He didn't even move. How'd he do that? Vlad King asked in shock. Yes, he did. The other teachers turned their attention to the principal, who was smiling devilishly. He just moved faster than the human eye could see, Nezu said, pushing a remote to play back what Ren did. Now let's see what he did. He played the video in slow motion. When the video played, they saw Ren grabs his sword backhanded, cut 2 faux villains, and resheath his blade. Then when the third faux villain came at him, Ren unsheathed his blade, cutting it in the crest area, resheathing his sword for the second time before returning back to his stance. He quickly unleashed another slash on the 4th faux villain, then avoided the 5th faux villain's attack while cutting the 6th faux villain with a spin slash to his left, but also cut the 5th faux villain from behind as he turned back around in front. Ren then cut the 7th faux villain. After that, he blocked the 8th faux villain's attack with his sheath and quickly cut the robot with a spin slash to his right. As he spun, Ren resheathed his blade and finished off the last faux villain as he drew his blade, attacking with a spin slash to the left as he resheathed the Barracuda blade. After watching the replay, the teachers were left stunned by the performance. He was about to do all that in only a few seconds, Toshinori said with widened eyes, fearing that level of speed and skill. That outfit he's wearing not only increases his strength but also his speed and reaction time, Aizawa said, observing Ren's fighting style. And I'm pretty sure Midoriya, Jiru, and Kodai can also perform the same feats as well in their costumes. It's just like his fight against the sludge villain, Midnight said, blushing at his performance. The way he cut through those robots is turning her on. Just looking at this is getting me hot and bothered. Yes, what a truly excellent display of skill from someone so young, Nezu happily said, then switched to the other rangers. Now let's see how the other 3 perform. Power Rangers Hero Force members. Ren Amamiya Ranger forms, all of them. Quirkless leader of the Hero Force Rangers. izukumidoriya Ranger forms. Mystic Ranger, quirkless. Yui Kodai Ranger forms. Overdrive Ranger, size. Kyoka Jiru Ranger forms. Jungle Fury Wolf Ranger, earphone jack. And 13 more rangers to join in. So alright folks, that's all for today. Stay tuned for part 3. Do subscribe, like and share for more such videos. Press the bell icon to be notified first on release. See you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.